came out. And the invocation tonight, Council Lady Wooten, would you be glad to be honor us with the invocation?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as a city, as leaders, concerned about the matters at hand. We pray you give us wisdom, understanding, consideration, compassion to do your will for the good of the great city of Virginia Beach. Let us have an ear to listen. Let us have a heart to receive what needs to be said. Let it be said tonight. Give us wisdom to make the right decisions for the citizens of this great city. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, to fellowship. I pray that your perfect will be done. It is in your Son's Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call.
All present, sir.
Okay, I would ask for for the approval of the certification of the closed session. Do I have a motion? So moved. Okay, vote is open.
1 second, Mr. Tower. The vote is open. By a vote of 11-0, you have certified the closed session to be in accordance with the motion to recess.
Okay, thank you. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the informal and formal session, November 1st, 2021?
So moved.
Okay, motion and a second.
1 second. The vote's open. By a vote of 11-0, you've approved the minutes as submitted.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to a couple things really honoring our city and honoring a remarkable individual. So, Gina, hey, what's happening? How you doing?
Good evening, Mayor Dyer, Vice Mayor Wilson, City Council members, City Manager Duhaney. My name is Julianne Sanchez. I work in the city's communications office, and I'm here to share with you the 11th installment of the Nostalgic VB campaign. As part of Nostalgic VB, we've asked residents to send in copies of photos and memorabilia for the communications office to incorporate into a monthly video series leading up to the city's 60th anniversary celebration in 2023. We are showcasing videos featuring those shared images on the city's social media channels, and we encourage residents to send in any treasured photos or videos before we close out the series on December 13th. Now, let's look back into the recent past as Volume 11 explores the years 2013 through 2017.
The years 2013 through 2017 saw the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge dominating social media feeds. Same-sex marriage was legalized in every state, the Black Lives Matter movement sparked national conversation, and the Chicago Cubs finally ended a 108-year-long World Series drought. In Virginia Beach, these years were marked by ambitious building projects, many of them focused on transportation and boosted by federal stimulus dollars. In 2013, the city completed the Laskin Gateway project, adding a roundabout, sidewalks, streetlights, and underground utilities to improve traffic flow in the resort area. The next year, the city broke ground on a project to widen Holland Road between Dam Neck Road and Nimmo Parkway and wrapped construction to connect Nimmo at Holland to General Booth Boulevard. Around the same time, the city also widened Princess Anne Road from 2 to 4 lanes between Dam Neck and Nimmo and filled in the missing segment of Lynnhaven Parkway connecting Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. But Virginia Beach was building more than just roads. In 2013, the Joint Use Library, a partnership between the city and Tidewater Community College, began welcoming patrons at the TCC Virginia Beach campus. The following year, Town Center Phase 5, a $105 million, 15-story mixed-use tower, brought more offices, retail, apartments, and parking to the Central Business District. In 2014, the city also completed the Rudy Inlet Connector Walk and Station 7 at Town Center, which houses the fire department's administrative headquarters. In 2015, Virginia Beach unveiled the new Bow Creek Recreation Center and cut the ribbon on the new Blackwater Fire and EMS station. Then in 2017, VB also debuted its largest recreation center to date, this time in Kempsville. It was an important time for the arts as well. The city established its first arts and cultural district, The Vibe, in the Central Beach area and added several new public art pieces, among them the Wave sculpture at the Laskin Road roundabout, the Naked Warrior, a bronze World War II Navy combat swimmer at 38th Street, a Mazer mural titled People and Plants at Mocha, and the Friendship Anchor at Kemp's Landing Park, a gift from the Mariners Museum honoring the relationship between Virginia Beach and its sister city, Olongapo, in the Philippines. In 2015, after 24 years at the helm, longtime Virginia Beach City Manager Jim Spoor announced his retirement.
Nobody can do anything by themselves, and it takes a team pulling together to get anything worth doing done. And that's what we had with Lake Gaston, that's what we had on Town Center. Those are the big projects that I would call out. But it's that partnership with the leadership in the community, both business and citizen, the city council, management staff, the service delivery people, all, aligned and pulling on the oar the same way.
In the fall of 2016, voters turned to the polls to vote whether to extend the Tide Light Rail system to Town Center. 57% voted no, and 43% voted yes. Also in the fall of 2016, Hurricane Matthew, a 500-year storm, walloped Virginia Beach with a record-setting 14 to 18 inches of rain in less than 12 hours, damaging roughly 1,400 homes and causing about $30 million in damage. But the upside? It jump-started much-needed work on how to tackle flooding and sea level rise. But we'll have more on that in our next episode, the last in our series, which will take us from 2018 to today. If you have pictures or videos you'd like to share that capture the early days of Virginia Beach or proud reflections of what makes this city your home, we would love to hear from you. Visit vbgov.com/nostalgicvb for step-by-step directions on how to get those pictures and videos to us. We thank you in advance for sharing.
You can watch all episodes of Nostalgic VB, including shorts of submitted content, on the city's YouTube channel, Access Virginia Beach. We invite you to subscribe for the latest news, information, and events around the city. I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the team of people who make this series possible. Anya Linka, who shoots and edits our videos, Matt Cole, who does the voiceovers and pulls together videos of submitted content, Jeff Barnaby, our master control operator, and the Virginia Beach Public Library's municipal reference staff, who have been assisting with the research for this project over the last year. As part of the Nostalgic VB campaign, we're also taking an opportunity to recognize individuals who played a major role in the progress and development of our city. This month, we're honoring former city manager Jim Spoor, who unfortunately will have to join us for the presentation of his proclamation next month. So at this time, I'd like to call Russell Lyons to the podium to accept the second Diamond Award for November on behalf of his father, Thomas J. Lyons. Russell, could you please join me at the podium?
And Joan, and your other son, would you like to come up too? Please. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Good. And, before I read this, I just want to say that when you have a great city, it takes a lot of remarkable people to pitch in and do many wonderful things and leave a legacy. And Tom Lyons, by far, was a leader, an innovator, a husband, a father, and a friend to so many people. A man of remarkable skill, depthness, personality, and just somebody I don't think he ever knew a stranger. And, it's humbling for me to, be able to read this. But, the one thing I find comfort in is that Tom's legacy is going to continue with his family. And, I'll tell you what, you are remarkable. Whereas Thomas L. Lyons Jr. pioneered the movement to make Virginia Beach a year-round destination and was a visionary whose ambitions forever changed the city's hotel industry and landscape of the resort area. Whereas as a young entrepreneur, he saved to purchase a 12-room motel on Pacific Avenue, the Sandpiper Inn. And in 1968, and his drive and personality helped facilitate partnerships would led him to establish Tidewater Inn Management. And whereas Mr. Lyons worked to evolve Virginia Beach's tourism from a seasonal mom-and-pop motel business model into a year-round franchise-dominated hotel industry the city boasts today. Whereas over the course of his career, he introduced major brands to Virginia Beach oceanfront, including Marriott, IHG, Hilton, Starwood, and Choice Hotels, improving the appearance and quality of the city's hotel product. And he also dedicated his time and energy to making Virginia Beach a better destination for employees and a better community for restaurants to call home by serving the Virginia Aquarium Foundation and the VB Rescue Squads, along with other local nonprofit organizations. Whereas Mr. Lyons went on to develop dozens of franchised hotels, which served to catapult a resort town that closed for half a year into a year-round economic engine for Virginia Beach that generates tourism revenue and contributes to the city's excellent way of life. Mr. Lyons' legacy lives on in the Coastal Hospitality Association, which currently operates 7 hotels in Virginia Beach. And whereas Nostalgic VB is a celebration of Virginia Beach pioneers and residents leading up to the 60th anniversary on our city. Therefore, I, Robert M. Bobby Dyer, Mayor of the City of Virginia Beach, do hereby proclaim Thomas L. J. Lyons as recipient of the Virginia Beach Diamond Award in Virginia Beach, and I call upon the citizens and members within government agencies, public and private institutions, business and schools in Virginia Beach to be of service and benefit for the benefit of our community so that future generations can appreciate and further uplift our beloved city of Virginia Beach. Thank you.
And I don't have any prepared remarks, but just wanted to say thank you on behalf of my father.
Thank you.
It's a much longer walk around. Yeah, come on over. Okay, thank you all. Okay, next up, Councilmember Berlucci is going to read honoring the Native American Heritage Month proclamation with Chief Emeritus Lee Lockamy.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome, Chief Emeritus Lockamy. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here this evening.
Welcome.
Well, it's my privilege to read this on behalf of our Mayor, Bobby Dyer. Whereas Native Americans have utilized the abundance of natural resources in Virginia and Virginia Beach for more than 15,000 years, and whereas 16th century English maps documented the villages of the Chesapeake and Apposis in the area that is now Virginia Beach, and I apologize if my pronunciation is incorrect. Whereas the Chesapeake Indian tribe resided in village settlements in Virginia Beach around the time of the early 17th century arrival of permanent English colonists in the region. And whereas significant archaeological sites have been found in Virginia Beach that have uncovered the details of the Native American settlements. And whereas members of the Nansemond Indian Nation were displaced by the English from their ancestral lands around the Nansemond River, with some settling in areas formerly occupied by the Chesapeake. And whereas the Nansemond Indian Nation were part of the Articles of Peace with King Charles II in 1677. And whereas there is documentation that a Nansemond Indian reservation existed in the 17th century in the southern areas of what is today Virginia Beach. And whereas the government of the United States of America officially recognized the Nansemond Indian Nation in 2018, and whereas members of the Nansemond Indian Nation continue to be vital members of the community in Virginia Beach today, and whereas Chief Emeritus Lee Lockamy of the Nansemond Indian Nation is a resident of the city of Virginia Beach, and whereas November was first declared as Native American Heritage Month in the United States of America in 1990, and whereas the Commonwealth of Virginia has commemorated November as Native American Heritage Month since 1996, and whereas Native American Heritage Month is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the American Indians who call Virginia Beach home, whose abilities and contributions strengthen our economy, enrich Virginia Beach's diverse culture, and invigorate Virginia Beach's communities. Now, therefore, Robert M. Bobby Dyer, Mayor of the City of Virginia Beach, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as Native American Heritage Month in the City of Virginia Beach. And I'll be right there.
Thank you. Thank you. Please say a few words.
It's always a pleasure to work with the City of Virginia Beach. We're getting a lot more stuff done through the Historic Preservation Commission. And we actually have some archaeology coming up in the next couple of weeks, which is going to be really exciting. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate it. Okay, I understand we have some Boy Scouts in the audience. Come on up. The future of America. Okay, one of you at a time. Come up, hold the mic down, and give us your name.
My name is Devin Smithy.
Okay, next.
My name is Elijah Gorman.
Great. Next.
My name is Paul Wolf.
Welcome.
My name is Clinton Pierce.
And what troop are you with?
66. We're not in a troop. We're technically Cub Scouts still.
I got thrown off by the uniform. I used to wear both of those uniforms back in the 1950s. Oh, my goodness. Hey, but gentlemen, come on up here, and I got a city pin for you. Come on up. Here we go. Here you go. Good stuff. Hey, welcome. Indeed, the future of America. All right, next up, if it's okay, we're going to have public comment on something in the water. And if you could call up the speakers, Madam Clerk.
The first speaker is Barbara Messner. After Ms. Messner is Craig Henson.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Half of this council is going to be replaced in January. Not necessarily with people I would be thrilled with, but this vote should wait until January. We have not really had that much input. Normally, this is at the convention center. There is no financing, no vote. It's outrageous that you sold tickets to fill hotel rooms at triple the price when we haven't even voted. 2019, something in the water. Most people think the developer paid for it. We paid for it. $250,000 cash and free venues on the oceanfront in the off-season, and people nearly got electrocuted. But you had it anyway, and we shouldn't be having year-round entertainment. Yeah, our school buses, you can't find people for the school buses, and yet you use the school buses and school bus drivers. It's a supermajority 9 vote. And it's illegal to have a nonprofit run an event on city land. You can't outsource this and have a nonprofit, and it's not historical. You know, I get this mixed up with the Dome. You have so many things going. But as far as the conflicts, even though you're not voting, Mr. Rouse has $20,000 from China Shanghai basketball. Mr. Dyer has money from MEB and Waterman's. Ms. Wilson, has major conflicts with Newtown Mortgage and Berkshire Hathaway. They finance for both of these, including, and look at this thing on the elections. I mean, it's all bogus on the elections, but also Kaufman and Knowles. And as far as, I've said this before, the city attorneys give opinions. They work for y'all. They don't work for us. And the people who've gotten, rulings.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it has to come from the Commonwealth Attorney who has.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Craig Henson.
And Mr.
After
Mayor,
Mr. Henson
Yes, Aaron.
is James Kearney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know anyone in Shanghai, China, or a basketball team. I just want to clarify that for the record. Thank you.
I think they saw you in the movie, Aaron.
And Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I don't have any affiliation with Berkshire Hathaway or Newtown Mortgage.
Okay, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm here to speak on something in the water. My concern is the policy and procedures. For example, I attended in 2019 and had a medical situation where I was in the first aid tent and then was directed to EMT services. What I noticed in looking back and in my investigation is that when the people at the first aid tent in the ADA area contacted and told me where to go, they got on the radio and told people I was coming there. An event happened to me. And looking back, what I realized is the communication was not relayed to the other staff of that event. They didn't know I was directed to go there. They didn't know why I was there being medically treated. I was attending as a disabled person with ADA credentials. Further injury was inflicted upon me. And so I don't want anybody else to become injured, or if somebody does have an injury, I want it to be addressed. I want to make sure that because this event is under a City of Virginia Beach special use permit that requires the event to use City of Virginia Beach first responders, law enforcement, et cetera, that these people who I understand have to think very quickly need to also recognize that somebody's being treated medically, that they treat them medically. And I don't know what needs to be done in the policy for that to ensure that things don't happen in the future, but I just ask this council to try to take consideration of that for public safety matters. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is James Kearney. After Mr. Kearney is Jim Severa.
Good evening.
Good evening, council. Good evening, all. October 2019, I lost my father. He was a phenomenal man. He was married to my mother for 40 years. When I see how strong my mother is, I call her phenomenal. My parents encouraged my sisters and brother and I to dream. They told us we could be whatever we dreamed of being. I didn't begin my dream until my father surprised us with a trip to Disney. It was there I saw festivals, large crowds, happy people, and a herd of multicultural sounds of music. My dream was born that day. I returned to Virginia knowing what I wanted to be. Something in the water is our Disney. Something in the water is a dreamer's dream. I pray something in the water inspires children, young and old, to become dreamers of fashion, music, and of art for years to come. I wish my father was here to see something in the water. He'd be proud of our city. I am for something in the water.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
The next speaker is Jim Severa. After Mr. Severa is Diana Howard.
Jim, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. Duhaney, Ms. Barnes, Mr. Stiles, and to the citizens, thank you for having me to give a brief few moments. You're going to hear a lot of speakers talk about the financial end of something in the water. I have all the faith in the world that our city staff will have the right information that you will need, that they will do their due diligence when it comes to the cost and the return on investment for this particular festival. And I know that you will make the right decision for the citizens when it comes to our return on investment from the financial end. I want to talk about the return on investment of the social end of something in the water. I've been at the ocean front for a couple of years previous to the magnificent weekend that we had in 2019. And I can tell you that as we prepared for it, there was a different feeling that we had in meeting with all of the citizen groups that we met with. The negative comments were not there. It was positive. How are we going to make this work? How is it going to make us a better city? And I referred to the Something in the Water mission statement, which is to unite the community and celebrate the diversity and magic of Virginia Beach. So we began to meet with citizens. Yes, traffic was going to be, as I called it, interesting during that particular weekend, but city staff made that happen. The traffic plan was excellent. I want to shout out to the Sheriff's Department because they did the massive amount of work at the bus central in order to get those buses moving in a safe and secure manner. Police, fire, rescue did an excellent job at the oceanfront. So did all of the other city staff members to make it work the right way. What we found after that beautiful weekend was that the feeling that the city was united was there. I heard nothing but positive comments. Yes, there were a few glitches along the way when you have that many folks over a 3-day period and you have to worry about weather and all the other things that we think about. And remember, putting together a festival at our oceanfront is very different than going to an arena. Even the Super Bowl arena, there's one way in, there's one way out. We have 40 blocks that we have to deal with. But what we felt from a social perspective is still being felt today. We still see young people wearing the hats with the T-shirts that say something in the water. When you mention it, they talk about it from a positive standpoint. So there's a return on the investment from the financial end. I know that's going to be looked at. The return on the investment from the social end has to also be looked at in that we did unite the community. We still have a fantastic community, and we're going to continue to go forward. So let us think about that as we think about this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Diana Howard, and after Ms. Howard is John Zirkle.
Hey, Diana, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? All right. What a coup. We brought something in the water back to Virginia Beach where it belongs. A very positive, uplifting event. And as it is not the job of city government to put on entertainment, when we do it and we sponsor these events, we expect a return on investment. And in looking at, what happened last time, right? We gave $250,000 for our sponsorship, and now we are doubling that, okay? I know inflation has gone up and everything, and cost is going up to put on these events, right? It also cost us over $1 million in services, overtime, and that was after, they paid for the, the school buses, right? So I'm trying to struggle with how we are going to pay for that amount of, our city staff working overtime to help them put this event on with the police and the firefighters and the convention center workers, et cetera, when you're going to give all the but-for taxes back. I mean, where is the profit from it? I mean, the mayor, you went on the TV news and said that it's going to bring all this money in to pay for schools and police officers. Is that coming from the taxpayers to pay for overtime for bus drivers and the police staff and stuff like that? But for taxes are taxes that we're not going to get now. We're not going to get the entertainment tax, which we never got anyway, it went to the tip, and all the meals tax, the sales tax, the city sales tax. Is there any other taxes that we're giving them for this? So what are we paying for this? Or is the taxpayers footing the bill for this? I mean, I appreciate the event. It was very uplifting. It was very positive. It was good for the city. It brought us attention, brought us goodwill. But, like I said, when we do these things, when we sponsor these events, we expect a return on our investment. So I would just like you to look at that and give us some input on how that is going to be paid for, because you raised our taxes last year. So, we don't want you to have to raise them again. And I want to thank John Moss, Councilman Moss, for all your years of service. The taxpayers of Virginia Beach are surely going to miss you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is John Zirkle. After Mr. Zirkle is Mike Bisk.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm John Zirkle. I'm president of the Hotel Association of Virginia Beach here, and I'm also a proud citizen of Virginia Beach. I'm here to speak in favor of, in support of something in the water coming back to Virginia Beach. In 2019, we saw something I don't think anyone expected. We saw a festival come together in less than 6 months that hosted 30,000+ attendees, plus all the ancillaries. It's just an amazing accomplishment. And while it did fill hotel rooms, restaurants, attractions, it did more than generate revenue for the city. It brought that renewed sense of community and camaraderie with it. The festival announced to the world that Virginia Beach was open. Open not just for the festival, but for everyone. While we know Virginia Beach is a diverse and welcoming area, a lot of people from outside don't. After that initial something in the water, they knew that Virginia Beach was open. The city will make money on this event. The ODU economic study's shown that. And that's a good thing. It helps us keep our taxes the lowest in the region while still providing the citizens with top-notch amenities. Further, this event will create more positive buzz for the city. The visitors coming to see something in the water will come back again and again. I view something in the water as something as a win-win-win. Mr. Williams wins for his investment. Yes, he's going to make some money too, and well, he should. The city wins by hosting a stellar event with national recognition. And the citizens win by reaping the rewards of the tax dollars those visitors will leave behind for our city. I hope you all agree. I thank you for your time and your support for the Something in the Water Festival.
Thank you, John.
The next speaker is Mike Biss. And then the next speaker will be David Leader.
Good evening. Hello, I'm going to read something I wrote. Hello, council and council members, Mayor Dyer, and the people of Virginia Beach and beyond. I hope you are well. If not, I wish you to be well. My name is Mike Viscu, and I was born, raised, and I work here. I'm less concerned about the festival's contract itself and more concerned about who is really benefiting from the business that it brings. Regarding the festival itself, musical events are a great community asset, especially when organized by Virginia Beach's Pharrell Williams. Music brings people together, and bringing people together is always important. In this city, business booms whenever there are special events, as everyone knows. Tourist attraction is what Virginia Beach is best known for. People from all over the world flock to the city to spend their hard-earned money to enjoy a vacation. The problem we must address, though, is that the lowest paid people who live here can't even afford to stay alive, and many rely on government assistance to do so, including myself. When business booms in the city, two results happen. After undercompensated workers output labor for a business, business owners are then progressively taxed for the resulting profits for arbitrary reasons they have no voice in. Those collected taxes are then used at the discretion of a council of people who fail to represent the poor working population, particularly the working population struggling to pay for housing, food, and other basic necessities to sustain human life. Instead, this council caters to the prosperous growth on top of growing poverty. As an ultimate result, the working population is accused of relying on government welfare and endlessly working harder, and yet there are still people without a place to call home, including myself. I'll leave with these rhetorical questions. Why is it that we as people are taxed, yet some of us can't even afford basic living needs such as shelter? Why am I, along with many others, unable to receive rental assistance? Where's all this tax money going? I see many new housing and shopping center developments, but why does that matter when only the wealthy can afford it?
Thank you.
The next speaker is David Leader. David Leader. And after Mr. Leader is Charles Burnell.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bobby D. Good evening, City Council staff. Thank y'all for having us tonight. Just wanted to speak briefly about my experience with Something in the Water. So back in 2019, I was a volunteer for Something in the Water. 2020, me and Team Lamb, we got hired on to be staff, and then whole COVID pandemic kicked in. since that time, we saw what Pharrell was doing for the city, and it inspired us to look at ways that we can be impactful in the city as well. So we reached out to City Council, and we produced the Juneteenth proposal to do an event at the ocean front, which was passed. And we had a successful event this year in 2022. So without Pharrell, without something in the water inspiring us, we wouldn't be able to stand and be in front of you today with an event that you guys helped us also to conquer and get past. So something in the water has become a pillar in our community. I would love to see it flourish and thrive and to bring people together and bring hope to this area. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man.
The next speaker is Charles Burnell. After Mr. Burnell is Natalia Ramos.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Thank you guys so much for making this time today for all of us to speak about this very important event, not only to Virginia Beach, but to our entire region. I heard lots of folks speak about not only the economic impact, but putting us on the national stage. And I would even counter that Something in the Water has not only done that, but put us on the international stage. It's demonstrated that Virginia Beach is a welcoming, thoughtful, and diverse community in a way that all of us as residents and neighbors know. And I'm thankful to see not only Mayor Dyer support these past weeks of the Mighty Dream Conference, which I can tell you firsthand as a participant there, that Pharrell and his team are more than accountable for the resources they provide, bring in, and for the manpower and the necessities that the community needs. You know, I've been a participant in not only the 2019 Something in the Water, but also the one that was held in DC. Elephant in the Room, I was an attendee in Norfolk, and in this Mighty Dream, I was a conference participant in several panels about economic development, about the arts. I've worked in this community as an artist, muralist, and activist for many years, and I can tell you, as someone who grew up as a Cox High School graduate here in Virginia Beach, one of the things that drew me to where I'm a resident and business owner now in Norfolk was that it felt a bit like a cultural vacuum in that time, late 90s, 2000. And the initiatives that you guys have put forth with the Vibe District, with Something in the Water, and with many other things such as Team Lamb's Juneteenth Festival have completely revitalized the way folks of my generation and this younger generation have looked at this city. So I wanted to commend you all not only on that, but also on doing what you needed to do to bring it back here. I did some quick math based on the $1 million on the school buses, the $500,000. And when you divide it by the amount of attendees, it looks like it's about $30 per person. That's a ticket purchasing payer. And I would tell anyone that wants to welcome their neighbors, guests from all over the world into their house, if they're not ready to spend $30 to make everyone feel at home, welcome, and loved, and to build the creative culture of our cities in a way that manifests Virginia Beach and this region as a cultural capital, then, you know, we should rethink that, because $30 is a pittance per person to make sure that everyone has the resources, assets, and infrastructure that they need to be a part of this. Thank you so very much.
Hey, thanks a bunch. Thanks for coming.
The next speaker is Natalia Ramos, and then Kate Pittman.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilmen and women. How are you today? My name is Natalia Ramos. I am actually a Virginia Beach resident as of February 1994. During my time, obviously growing up here in Virginia Beach, I've graduated Lansdowne High School, attended Old Dominion University, in which Councilman Michael Berlucci had actually assisted in a lot of what we've done with the LGBT community, along with Councilman Ann Rouse during the time of 2020, where we had our pandemic and many nationwide issues had arisen, in which diversity and also the people of Virginia Beach included had to come together to be able to help one another to grow during a pandemic. Now, before that time in 2019, I was teaching English as a second language in Costa Rica. The power of Virginia Beach really speaks its volumes when we say we have better waves, not just at our beaches. Something in the Water actually reached Costa Rica, not only in Little Virginia Beach, But in San Jose, when my students, let alone, have come to me to say, your city's doing a great thing, it's helping its people. Something that other cities can't even get from their own governments, including ones here in our nation. But I will say this, I'm very happy and very blessed to have grown up here, to have worked with my community, to also work with the city, not only as an entertainer, but as a citizen to be able to help it grow. And I also will say, being an entertainer definitely has its perks, but also being a citizen here in the city has helped out even more. I actually was a panelist along as an entertainer at the Mighty Dream Forum, and hearing a lot about what they want to do with the city of Norfolk, let alone with the entire state, has opened my eyes even more to help my community, not only with the councilmen and women here alone, but with my fellow peers. So I just really want to say thank you for being able to give us that opportunity to grow, not only in entertainment, but also with our city as well. So thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a bunch. Thanks for coming.
The next speaker is Kate Pittman. After Ms. Pittman is Jarrell Hargraves.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you all for your service to our city. I am a Virginia Beach resident and also the executive director of the Vibe Creative District, which is a nonprofit that represents more than 100 artists and small business entrepreneurs. Our organization worked with the Something in the Water team both in 2019 and 2020 as partners in programming during the festival. In 2019, Something in the Water employed dozens of Virginia artists, architects, builders, all to participate and add beauty to the resort via an art walk that stretched from the beach concerts through the Central Beach District all the way over to Mocha. The arts and culture scene in Virginia Beach was elevated on a national platform, and we appeared in numerous national publications, including Rolling Stone magazine. In 2020, prior to COVID canceling plans for Something in the Water, the programming was even grander, and the Arts District was receiving prominent placement on the festival map. And dozens of local businesses were engaged in satellite events as part of the festival programming. The Vibe District has been fortunate to continually appear in national publications each year since 2019. The impact that Something in the Water brings to our city is unlike any other. Creatives here are now thriving, and we fully support this project.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jarrell Hargraves. Chosen Wilkins. Giselle Mumford. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you Mr. Wilkins?
Yes, I am. And I do represent the rest of the cast members of the Starboys. The other two, Giselle and Jarrell, are actually filming for the series right now, so I wasn't filming today. But I come here on behalf of Starboys, which represents a cast of African-American men in the LGBT community. What I've noticed about the 2019 Something in the Water, as well as the Mighty Dream, which were both great platforms for the area, is that there was a lack of visibility and support with LGBTQ artists. I did see the previous speaker come up and said that she was a part of that, and I want to just encourage that the city of Virginia Beach, with this wonderful experience coming back to Virginia Beach, Virginia, is that there's just more visibility with our celebrities that are of the LGBT community, speaking for any artists emerging or established. We have Saucy Santana, we have Lil Nas X, we have Jarrell, who was on Legendary on HBO Max, who is not here right now. But I do want to encourage that the city does move forward into supporting the LGBTQ community because they are human, just like everyone else. So, Mr. Dyer, thank you, Mayor Dyer, thank you so much for having this back. The council members, thank you for welcoming the return of Something in the Water. Pharrell's done a tremendous job, and I'm hoping to see all of our hometown heroes be there, including ourselves, even though we'll be done filming. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The next speaker is Mia Guile. And then Deborah Kimlick.
Good evening.
I'm supposed to follow all those good people? Wow. Hi, my name is Mia Guile. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Thank you for allowing us to have this time for feedback. First off, I'm for it, the something in the water. It's funny that this is even a topic for debate, but it's really just about giving feedback, isn't it? So do we not need more progress for more people? I'm going to read a quote from George Bernard Shaw. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. It's your decision, right, to keep doing this good thing. Now let us live in a city where we build each other up, and after the global hardship of the pandemic, we have got to give our younger generation the opportunity and hope they so need. And frankly, who couldn't use some hope, right? It's our responsibility now because they are our future. As an artist and an incoming chair of the Public Art Committee for the City of Virginia Beach and Cultural Affairs, I couldn't think of a better public art immersive experience for the city for cultural and economic growth. Thanks.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Deborah Kimlick. Is there a Deborah Kimlick? Trevor Hunter. After Mr. Hunter will be George Alcaraz.
Good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, Mayor Dyer and members of the City Council. My name is Trevor Hunter. I'm a business development manager for Coastal Ride, a Virginia Beach-based taxi company. We're excited to hear that Something in the Water is returning to Virginia Beach. This event brings excitement and entertainment to our city. At the last Something in the Water event, taxi companies and others had great difficulty picking up customers who called for service. Although the demand for transportation to and from the oceanfront was high, the police were turning taxi cabs away due to the traffic and crowd issues. Meanwhile, some rideshare companies, vehicles that were allowed through were charging upwards to $200 for short trips. To avoid these problems in the future, we hope that the planning will include several staging areas for transportation companies within walking distance of the event. This will minimize confusion and make vehicular traffic more manageable for the police department and allow passengers and providers to be treated fairly. Any questions? Thank you.
Hey, thanks a bunch. Thanks for coming.
The next speaker is George Alcaraz. After Mr. Alcaraz is Jafari Jones.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I'm a Virginia Beach resident. I'm here to state my support. I have been involved with events for over 35 years, and my job is also to get toes in the sand and get the guests here from all over the nation. And I got to tell you one thing I saw, and I got to say this first, but Aaron, thank you. I know you're a good help on getting that. Mayor, thank you on making Something in the Water for 2019. But this event was magical. What I saw with the safety personnel, Chief Severa, I saw high fives, I saw hugs, I saw everything. I felt it. And I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I saw something I've never seen before. So I hope you bring it back. I support it. I do ask that you do work with the stakeholders at the beach for the retail, restaurants, and of course the hotel. But I don't think they need any help. Last thing I got to say is this past weekend, thank you. As an example, thank you so much. You guys have opened Virginia Beach. What you did last weekend with the Jeeps was a home run. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
The next speaker is Jafari Jones. After Mr. Jones is Allison Stevens.
Welcome.
What's going on? Peace and blessings, Council, especially Sabrina Wooten. Came here to discuss Something in the Water. I had a few notes I wrote down here today. It's been a long time since I've seen y'all, and that's due to every time I come to Virginia Beach, I'm hit with a new charge, literally. But our last meeting was June of 2020. Since then, we have been begging for change. The chief said on the news that he wanted to meet with First Amendment protesters. I was later hit with 2 charges. The history lesson of the Virginia Beach oceanfront. In 1989, there was Greek Fest where college students were beaten in the head by Virginia Beach Police Department. DeMario Joyner was murdered by Virginia Beach Police Department in 2003. India Kager was murdered by Virginia Beach Police Department in 2015. Matthew Russian was falsely incarcerated for a non-fatal car accident. He is autistic, and he was set free due to petition by BLM 757. That was the Virginia Beach injustice system. Champ Turner was also falsely arrested. We also had him free from prison. Cameron Merlius passed away from COVID-19 in the prisons here, and Donovan Lynch and DeShayla Harris were murdered at the oceanfront. It is our concern that the safety, that the area is not safe for this. There is currently a stop and frisk that's going on with the Virginia Beach Police Department. The officer who murdered Donovan Lynch, Pharrell's cousin, is still on the force allegedly, and we are still getting complaints about him to this day. We are highly concerned with the safety of any citizens coming to here and not knowing that if something is to happen to him, as this gentleman stated earlier, will they be safe? Since July 1st of 2021, the law passed on how on FOIA requests, we haven't been able to get FOIA requests. There's been intimidation, and longer than short, we just do not feel as if the citizens are safe here to have an event of this magnitude. We've been asking for years for transparency, and how can somebody feel safe here if law enforcement is doing unruly stop and frisks and they're searching people's cars while they're not in there? It's not welcoming for Black and brown individuals. Virginia Beach has never been welcoming to Black and brown individuals, and Pharrell took the event from Virginia Beach because of the toxic energy, and we have yet to see a riddance of any of that toxic energy. It was ironic that you were able to approve the event with key stakeholders up here in Norfolk before y'all voted. Y'all put the cart before the horse, and the citizens are discouraged. I appreciate former Chief Cervera. We had a much better relationship. So I do love Pharrell and what he has going on, but I do not feel Virginia Beach is safe for Black and brown individuals to visit for their safety and their freedom. And Aaron Rouse has also blocked us on social media, which is illegal. Please unblock us.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Allison Stevens. After Ms. Stevens is Gary McCollum.
Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Allison Stevens, and I am the owner and operator of Anchor Alley's Restaurants in Virginia Beach. I have 2 locations, and I'm here to talk on behalf of, as you guys move forward with your planning with Something in the Water, really using this opportunity to showcase small businesses on this big platform. Last time Something in the Water came in 2019, I was not informed of any opportunities to work or to cater or to have my staff involved in all with any aspects of the event. And I was thinking, as you guys move forward with the planning, you know, taking a look and maybe creating a vendor list of the small businesses in the area and giving these small businesses this great big opportunity to showcase themselves, showcase their brand. You know, Anchor Alley's is homegrown here in Virginia Beach. My staff would really love to be part of it. We would do such a great job, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention and something to consider when you guys move forward with planning. All right, thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah.
The next speaker is Gary McCollum. After Mr. McCollum is Anthony Wills.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Reverend Gary McCollum, founder of Do the Right Things. It's a local grassroots organization trying to bring about good things here in our great city. And we are clearly for the festival. We applaud you, Mayor Aaron, for your work to bring this festival back. It really never should have left, but we understand why that happened. The thing I'd like to talk about is, real quickly, to double click on something that Allison just shared, and that is, how do we actually invest in a creative economy? In other words, it's great that we're going to do this for this festival, but she said something. It's great that the folks at the beach, the hotel owners, are going to benefit, but we have great small businesses like Anchor Alleys. We have great entertainers. There's some entertainers out here in this audience tonight. I would like to have some sort of a provision in the contract where we're actually going to utilize local businesses like Anchor Alleys, like Happy Cafe, and I could name a ton of other small businesses who didn't benefit at all or slightly from the last time it was here in 2019. And with regard to these artists, producers, there are people here who are incredibly talented. Let's give them a shot on the big stage. Let's figure out a way by talking to Pharrell and the festival organizers to showcase this talent, to show people what Virginia Beach has. And so, again, I applaud you, Mayor, for bringing this thing back. Aaron, all the work you did behind the scenes. But let's make it a great festival for everybody. One last point I'll make. Let's not just see this as something in the water. There are a number of creative things that we can do that will help our economy and keep these young people here. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate your comments.
The next speaker is Anthony Wills. After Mr. Wills is Wendell Lundy.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are y'all? My name's Anthony Wills. I'm president of G-Man Entertainment Management, or G-Man Management. It's a division of G-Man Entertainment Music Group here in Virginia Beach area, where we provide a platform for local artists and really digging in and doing some things with the community. I have a little book here that says, some people dream of success while others wake up and work hard at it. We have a lot of people in this community that work very hard with their local businesses and things that they're looking forward to here in their future. So while we're talking about something in the water and festivals and events and things of that nature, I wanted to say, let's not forget about those local businesses we just heard, of those hardworking people that's here. Let's not, the first thing we do is outsource nationally. Why not dig right here in our homegrown area, in the Hampton Roads area, Virginia Beach? We have it here. Of course, yes, we want quality product, services, but I do believe we have that here, from restaurants to merchandise. And we definitely should look here in the area. Entertainment, we spoke about that. I'm on that side of the field, and we have a lot of local artists here that does not have a platform to showcase their talents. So many times I've gone out of town and I've seen local artists who've grown up here but went elsewhere because there's no platform for them. Why not? We have it here. We have festivals. We have plenty of venues, and you have companies such as one I represent that can assist with getting that talent and doing all the homework for you to help out and provide that platform. So let's not forget about our local artists and the businesses here in the area while we're coming up with these plans and providing a budget for that. Thank you.
Thanks a bunch. Appreciate your comment.
The next speaker is Wendell Lundy. After Mr. Lundy is L.G. Shaw.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. All right, I'm Wendell Lundy. How are y'all? So I'm for something in the water, but there have been a lot of great points, pros, cons, and concerns raised. And it all should be considered in totality. One thing that we know for sure is that this area is finna make a lot of money from this, a whole lot. And so I think there should be a conversation about how these funds get allocated. The city's gonna make a lot, businesses are gonna make a lot. But as the young man, I can't remember his name, he had on the black hat, he brought up a great point. There are a lot of people who stand to get left behind. And so Virginia Beach has made some progress, but let's be honest, out of the 7 cities, and there are 7, if you were to look at this like New York would be like Staten Island, it's that one borough that doesn't see itself as part of the city. That's kind of how Virginia Beach, at least from the outside looking in, that's the perception. Something in the water can change that perception. But when an out-of-towner comes here and they hear about Virginia Beach from somebody from Hampton or somebody from Norfolk or somebody from Portsmouth, they're gonna tell them, hey, be careful. Watch out, Virginia Beach is a little different. It's just something to think about. This is a great opportunity. Let's not squander this opportunity. Let's make sure that the local talent, the local businesses, and then the local underserved communities all benefit from this. Because if anybody gets left behind, then something in the water is always gonna have its detractors. You're always gonna have to have these events like this, where you have to have people come and defend something that should be great. When we watch that montage of all of the things Virginia Beach has become in the last 50 or so years or whatever, the one thing that stuck out to me was in 2016, the light rail vote. That was a big chance to connect the whole region. We all know why Virginia Beach didn't want it. Something in the water. Not everybody who comes from out of town is gonna stay in Virginia Beach. A lot of those people are gonna stay in Norfolk. A lot of those people are gonna stay in Hampton. They're not gonna wanna drive their cars here and pay $25, $30, $45, $50 a park. That light rail could have brought a lot of money. A lot of people. These are the kinds of things that Virginia Beach has to think about if it wants to be part of the 7 cities. That's it.
Thank you.
The next speaker is L.G. Shaw. After Mr. Shaw is Kenneth Minard.
Good evening.
Evening. Thank you, Council, for having everybody. Somebody needs to make sure that last gentleman gets Pharrell's number and connects with his team. A lot of great ideas there. It's obviously in support of Something in the Water coming back. Congratulations to the council and all the effort that went on behind the scenes. My family has a surf shop at the oceanfront, and we were involved in the event. We produced a T-shirt for it, but certainly didn't change our end of the year bottom line. But it was so much fun, and the Mr. Jim, the former police officer, I'm going to mess up his last name. His point of the ROI on the community, you know, that the kind of the intangibles that this festival brings to the area, and all that it shows that we're capable of, much like what's been happening in the Vibe District, which I'm lucky enough to be a part of, and president of the business association portion of that district. It's amazing to see all that's happened. I was born and raised in Virginia Beach, and honestly, never in my lifetime, I would have lost every bet that I ever placed thinking that something as amazing as Something in the Water would have come to Virginia Beach. So kudos to the city that it ever came, and even greater effort that it came back here after it had an opportunity to move away from here. So I really hope the city can maintain the relationship and continue to grow. And I think any money spent is returned tenfold through all the different points of improvement that the city benefits from it. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The next speaker is Kenneth Maynard. No, Minard, I'm sorry. And then Robert Johnson.
Good evening.
Mayor, Council. For Something in the Water, I am for it. I'm the owner of an entertainment and events company based out of Virginia Beach for the past 18, going on 19 years. I brought countless national artists, but sadly to say, I've always brought them to the Norvas, to the Coliseum, but I'd love to bring them here to Virginia Beach. Right? I'm from here, you know, graduated Kellum High School, grew up right down the street. So I do want to support, you know, our local artists. I think they're very talented. I think we have a lot that needs to be showcased. I think our next Pharrell can be right in our own backyards, and we don't even know it. So I think, you know, if the council and the city can all get behind and kind of come together and allocate a certain percentage, you know, not a lot, but say, hey, how can we come together to form a local stage or a venue where we can kind of showcase our local talent and come together and let them shine and support our own community. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you coming.
The next speaker is Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson. I think he's coming. After Mr. Johnson will be Kenneth Dorsey Jr.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? All right, get in there. My name is Robert Johnson. I am a singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur. And the reason I am on this platform today is because I just want to first state that the platform Something in the Water provided for entrepreneurs and artists as myself was great. It was very inspiring. And I believe that we should be more a part of that just with what's going on. Young artists like myself need good platforms and things that we can look forward to as far as in the city of Virginia Beach, various other cities that work together. And it's just better because it provides like a great incentive for us to, really work hard and put that energy that could be, labeled somewhere else where that could be negative to something positive. And I believe that, with the festival and things coming of that nature, just what it offers both for artists and entrepreneurs is really a great thing that can instill hope, and really inspire and just be great. So I just wanted to kind of come off honestly from that standpoint. And I'm looking forward to, being a part any kind of way that will, help further the entrepreneur side and artist side. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a bunch for coming.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Kenneth Dorsey Jr.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I consider myself to be a man of principle, and I just want to encourage the city to embrace a few principles I've embodied in my journey through life, as well as my own organization that I lead. I think first, we win and we lose as a team. It's not a matter of us versus them. And if we're all residents of Virginia Beach or the greater Virginia Beach area, we should be able to come together and create these solutions that benefit us holistically. I've certainly heard fellow residents speak to their concerns about event safety, medical communications, and other topics, but I haven't heard too many solutions. Just so encouraging us to come together, not only with concerns, but also with solutions so that we can better inform the city to make the best decisions. I'd also like to see us use data to drive our decision making. We can't do everything all at once, right? This is a very massive event, and we can't have 100 metrics that define what success looks like. Let's kind of work together to define what those key metrics are that will allow us to be successful. For everyone in attendance, I recommend listening with the intent to understand and not necessarily to respond. I believe that if we do that, we can unlock a lot more solutions with the voices in the room. And lastly, not being afraid to fail. We strive for perfection, but none of us come up to that. And the beauty of our great city is its diversity. And we can learn and grow from one another when we rally together to do those incredible things. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much.
Mayor, we have one additional speaker who is via WebEx, Robert Dean. Mr. Dean, you are unmuted and may begin.
The city's webpage, I found the following statement. The City of Virginia Beach is inviting the public to view the proposed contract terms and share their opinions on hosting the 2023 Something in the Water Festival. But there are no terms available, only a $500,000 expenditure to the promoter for advanced promotions. Council members, following the United States Marine Corps, I went into corporate America where everything is based on numbers, performance, and most importantly, the net bottom line. That return on investment is what stockholders demanded for their return on investment. Where is the taxpayer's net profit in Something in the Water? If I ever submitted a plan for an event or major purchase of millions of dollars of goods and services without a business plan, well, there would have been repercussions, notably my job. In the private sector, there are consequences for unfavorable job performances. Not so in the public sector, where the bureaucrats are sheltered from scrutiny, even when it loses millions of taxpayer dollars. As a libertarian, I am a staunch supporter of our beloved U.S. Constitution, And nowhere have I found language where it gives government the right to take money by force to entertain me or anyone else. For a better understanding of this premise, I suggest each of you read Not Yours to Give by Davy Crockett. What is really frightening is the fact that you have scheduled this public hearing for We the People, but it appears that you have already brought into this private sector proposal but have not provided any business plan. It's incredulous that you simply say, let's give them a fair trial and then we'll find them guilty. And I've yet to see or hear a public apology from the promoter for disparaging remarks about the racial strife and references of racism in our city. I believe another public hearing is in order where a bona fide business plan would be presented. Let me state this loud and clear. It is not the role of government to entertain me or anyone else. No subsidies from we the taxpayers. Let the private sector totally fund this event. Thank you.
Mayor, we have one additional speaker, Conrad Shizventer. And that's all the speakers.
Okay, good evening.
Thank you, guys. I remember calling in, but I maybe got a signal crossed. But any chance, good evening. I join a majority of Virginia Beach residents that welcome Something in the Water back to its rooted home. The glad, optimistic tidings it brings to us can't be topped, and the economic boost, of course, is well appreciated. Yet, as our city steps into a partnership agreement with this event, full with VB tax subsidy and in-kind services, I ask for the elected body of councilors to step up on one important task. This task concerns a piece of that toxicity that Farrell spoke of last year when moving it out of state. I assume most of the toxicity rectified itself because this is all back now, but I fear it's not fully gone when our attention turns to many of our oceanfront businesses. Those businesses whose revenue funds their political giving which finds itself in campaign coffers of folks such as yourselves. I want your voices, powerful individually and tremendous collectively, to call out these businesses looking to obscenely gouge the pockets of the thousands traveling to Virginia Beach for this festival. I read on wavy.com of Katrina Freeman from my new home of Portsmouth, months ago booked for April 28th and 30th, and after the festival was announced, ran into her hotel canceling her reservation and the new price of $1,100 a night, sticker shocking her in comparison to the $162 she saw originally. I'm a veteran of the oceanfront hotel front desk service, 16 years of watching the high prices of Memorial Day and Labor Day, 4th of July, Latin Fest, and Neptune Fest. I've seen seasonal and event rates get high, but $1,100 a night is offensive. This weekend is known to give fun and excitement to a college weekend of largely HBCU students. To spectacularly gouge prices on them and not do it on the major summer holidays is toxic. You know it too, and I beg this group of folks largely funded by these hotels to look past the money flooding into the tip fund and speak up. Use your voices for good. Thank you.
Excuse, Mr. Mayor.
That's all the speakers, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
If I could just take a moment of personal privilege, if you don't mind. I just want to offer my congratulations to Mr. Shezventer on his recent marriage. Congratulations, Conrad, and just share my best wishes to you and your bride. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you for all your participation and input, most appreciated. Okay, at this point, we're going to have a couple of public hearings. Number one is the declaration and sale of excess property at 3000 Barberry Lane.
We have one speaker for all three of the public hearings, Barbara Messner.
Okay. Is this just for consent agenda or for the public hearing?
This is for the first public hearing, ma'am.
Okay, public hearing. Sale of excess property. we don't have excess property. There's no property left on the tax rolls. And when you lease their property and sell it at a loss, we suffer. You know, I just got a property tax bill. We don't get an extension on that. You know, the way the city is run is absolutely crazy. It's our land, it's our property, and we should have access. You know, all the conflicts. Alcarez is on planning. He owns Coastal Surf Shop. You know, and as far as my comments on VPAP, people can, on conflicts, people need to look at Virginia Public Access Project. All the money is there. Do your research. People should have done their research before they voted. Okay, excess property. Are we doing 1, 2, and 3?
I need the mayor to open the second public hearing.
Yeah, okay. We're finished with number 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go to number 2, acquisition by agreement or condemnation of Shore Drive Corridor Improvements Phase 3 Project, CIP 100381, formerly CIP 2-117.
Okay. Acquire or condemn. You don't have the right to acquire and condemn property for CIP, capital improvement. We have $3 billion debt. And you use some of our money. This is why I object to all the misinformation in this publication that you put in the lobby. There was misinformation on this. There was, but Public Works, we don't have enough employees. Parks and Rec, they subsidize, you know, all these events, the Jeep Club, you know, all this stuff, you have to pay overtime. Why don't you all get in the trucks and clean up the mess that you make? You know, on Veterans Day, the public workers, they had to work. And here you're inside a luncheon. You didn't even have a parade. New York had a parade for the vets. Okay.
Okay, is that all the speakers on number 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, moving on to number 3, lease of city property, approximately 4,860 square feet located directly adjacent to 101 South Independence Boulevard.
Okay. Again, you're leasing city property, like the city property that you're leasing to Verizon, and they're outsourcing to Maztex, and then Tri-State, they're using city water. We're paying for that. That's why our water bills are astronomical. It's why our Dominion is astronomical. It's hard for me, and I've been paying attention a long time. I don't forget a lot of things. But we have debt. We have debt. I appreciate Robert Dean's speech. But, you know, people should have been having better candidates and speaking up more often, because CIP, we used to have bids on items. You just do what you want. You discriminate against everybody else that drives a vehicle, and you use the Jeep Club. You can't just do that. And the skydiving, who's the liability? The liability is you. It's us if somebody gets hurt. It's you. It's you. And like I said, Ms. Wilson's the vice mayor. You're the mayor. Your priorities are atrocious. And the conflicts, I've read the conflicts I don't know how many times. I don't know why Miss Wilson doesn't want to stay in here and hear them. And I can't congratulate anybody that stayed in office, splitting the votes and everything. Yeah, we can go to the next thing.
Okay, now,
That's it.
we're done with the public hearings now, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, at this point, I will read the script for speakers prior to the consent agenda. I want to remind everyone that the City Council speaker policy that allows certain representatives of groups to speak for 10 minutes applies only to planning items. All other speakers, whether speaking individually or on behalf of a group, will have up to 3 minutes to speak on a single item. Speakers are reminded that comments during the formal session of the meeting must be limited to the subject of the item that is being considered by council at the time you are called. For items placed on the consent agenda, a speaker will have up to 3 minutes to address any single item. If a speaker wishes to address multiple consent agenda items, speaker will have a cumulative total of 6 minutes to address those items. Against, the speaker must limit his or her comments to the subject matter of the items that they have discussed to address. Finally, I call upon all speakers and all persons in the chamber to be civil in their discussion and decorum. Whatever views you hold and wish to express, the City Council wants to hear from you and to ensure that all viewpoints and all persons are respected. The best way to do this is for all of us to strive for civility and respect. Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any multiple item speakers?
Yes, Ms. Messner. Ms. Messner, the only items, excuse me, that you will not be speaking on right now are K2, K3, K4, and K8.
So we'll go back to
All other
this.
items are on the consent agenda.
Including planning? Okay. All right. Authorize city manager Duhaney to execute a lease of city-owned land. Like I said, we don't have city-owned land. We're not getting any return on investment when you lease it. A lot of these leases, 99-year lease, illegal, to Richard Maddox, the Dairy Queen. 99-year lease, illegal, 31st Street. You don't follow the Constitution. Every city employee should be sworn in because they work for y'all. Okay.
The next one would be 5.
5, thank you. Award 5,000 micro grant. For a Thanksgiving basket giveaway. It's like you steal from us, you tax us to death, and then you want to give token amounts, micro grants to select people. I mean, I just saw that Penn Ministry, who does more work than y'all have ever done, and Debbie, who worked at the Lighthouse for free, you know, that's who the money should go to. It shouldn't be going to the, what do you call it? The homeless shelter. We paid for it. Ballard won the contract. Won. But it's just overnight stay, first come, first serve. How you treat the homeless is appalling. And there's new homeless all the time. Okay. Citizen Review Board. We don't need any more review boards when you appoint the people. That's not a review. What you're doing with 31st Street or 531 Memorial, you drag that on, you're spending all the money. It's obscene. And you want 3 different places. Billy Allman has been on the rack forever, the 80s or 90s when I used to go. So the conflicts are outrageous. There is no oversight. Okay, 9, temporary encroachments, portion of city-owned canal. Formerly Princess Anne, all those ads and, this stupid publication. Everything's biased. We don't get real information. The pilot doesn't give real information. But, yeah, I'm opposed to the temporary encroachments. Okay. 10, modify area proposed for closure, extend the date. Where are the extensions to the dates for our bills that come, and we have to pay them in 10 days? So you don't extend the same courtesy to us. Virginia Economic Development Authority. Good evening, Taylor Adams. Taylor Adams is deputy city attorney, and he's the head of economic development. He goes on these trips, like to Spain. I think it's so, it's so funny that Mr. Routh thinks it's funny when you go on those trips and you don't come to council. How many times have you been to council while you're in the ads for Elaine Lurie and getting paid by her and everybody else? You don't represent us or your people, in my opinion. Okay, 11, appropriate $30,000 from Department of Forestry. Parks and Recs operating budget. Forestry activities. You destroy all the land. What is it, 70 acres at Owls Creek? All the flooding. Look at these ads. Parks and Rec. Instead of running these full-page ads in different publications, Farmers Market, there we go. Henley's ad right there on this independent publication. Instead of paying for all these ads almost every week now, use that money to pay better wages and hire more people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you
Yep,
said,
Mr. Rouse.
That's all the speakers, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not paid by Congresswoman Elaine Lurie or anyone else, just for the record. Thank you.
Boy, you're doing a lot of clearing the record tonight, Aaron. Oh, thank you. Okay, at this point, Madam Vice Mayor, if you could do the agenda item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Under ordinances and resolutions, number 1 is the ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a lease of city-owned property located adjacent to 101 South Independence Boulevard for 5 years for Blazing Wings, Inc., trading as Buffalo Wild Wings Grill and Bar. Number 5 is the ordinance to award a $5,000 community services micro grant to United Full Gospel Revival Center of Virginia Beach, raise support its annual Thanksgiving basket giveaway and fill the bag Christmas drive, requested by Councilmember Wooten, with Ms. Henley voting no. Number 6, the ordinance to amend City Code Section 27-60 and 27-61, grade membership of the Independent Citizens Review Board, requested by Council Members Henley and Wooten. Number 7 is the ordinance to amend the summary of terms to extend closing date of 5 parcels of land located in the intersection of Burton Station and Tolliver Roads to Seniors Unlimited Lifestyles, Inc., as assigned to SUL Tranquility at the Lakes 2 LLC. Number 9, the ordinance to authorize temporary encroachments into a portion of city-owned canal off Asheville Bridge Creek located at the rear of 2472 Entrada Drive, reconstruction and maintain the replacement of 117 feet of bulkhead, and to construct and maintain a dock, boat lift, electric line, and 21 tiebacks and dead man piles, District 2, formerly District 7, Princess Anne. Number 10 is the ordinance to modify the area proposed for closure and to extend the date for satisfying the condition regarding various rights-of-way adjacent to an assemblage of property owned by the City of Virginia Beach Development Authority at a portion of the south side of 20th Street between Pacific and Arctic Avenues. B, the portion of the south side of the 20th Street between Arctic and Baltic Avenues. C, the portion of the west side of Arctic Avenue between 19th and 20th Streets. D, 19th Street between Pacific and Arctic Avenues. E, all alleys within the blocks surrounding by Arctic and Baltic Avenue and 19th and 20th Streets. And number 11 is the ordinance to accept and appropriate $30,000 from Virginia Department of Forestry to FY 2022-23 Department of Parks and Recreation operating budget, RAID, the Princess Anne Commons urban forestry activities.
Open a public hearing on planning.
Number 1 is CP Marine and Diesel, Inc., Carl and Gloria Repair Shop, LLC, for modification of conditions, Ray Automobile Repair Garage at 1399 Air Rail Avenue, District 9, formerly District 4, Bayside. Number 2 is M.M. Rollins and Company of Virginia Corporation for a change of zoning from Ag 2 Agriculture to B2 Community Business District, Ray Auto Sales and Service at 652 Princess Anne Road, District 2, formerly District 7, Princess Anne. Number 3, Sacred Daggers, LLC, Pavement Paradise, LLC, for an alternative compliance, Ray Tattoo Parlor at 529 Virginia Beach Boulevard, District 5, formerly District 6, Beach. Number 4 is the Virginia Aquarium Foundation, City of Virginia Beach, for conditional use permit, Ray Wind Energy Conversion System at 801 General Booth Boulevard, District 6, formerly District 6, Beach. Number 5, Russell A. Brown for a conditional use permit, Ray Home Occupation Retail Sales at 1212 Sycamore Road, District 8, formerly District 5, Lynn Haven. Number 6, Green Clean Shore LLC, KS Shore LLC for conditional use permit, Ray Car Wash Facility at 4769 Shore Drive, District 9, formerly District 4, Bayside. And last is the Sean Andrew Masleny for a conditional use permit, Ray Short-Term Rental at 1724 Baltic Avenue, District 6, formerly District 6, Beach. And I move for approval.
Okay, do we have a second? Any other discussion? Okay, let's open the vote.
Mr. Tower, may I have your vote? Thank you. By a vote of 11 to 0, you have approved the consent agenda as read by Vice Mayor Wilson, noting Councilmember Henley's nay vote on K5.
Okay, at this point, we'll go back to the ordinances that have been pulled. And first one is number 2, resolution to adopt the city's 2023 legislative agenda.
The first speaker is Barbara Messner. After Ms. Messner is Terry Stevens.
I don't know how many people are aware. It's really distracting when you're talking when it's my time. You asked me to be polite and civil, so please be polite when I'm using my rare time. Okay? Bob Mathias, who retired after 40, I don't know how many years as a city manager, had a dual role as the lobbyist for the city, not for the citizens, for city projects. And now Deborah, is paid. She works basically 24/7 round the clock to help influence our legislators on what you want. So, like I said, I'm opposed, and I think it's outrageous that people laugh. You know, it's not just my information. VPAP is Virginia Public Access Project. They're one of the best things in Virginia. And, you know, if you have any problems with what they're posting and who's on your, you know, list of donors, you know, take it out with them because no one else has challenged it before. Okay, thank you. Oh, I have another question. You know, when some people speak, you zoom in. When other people speak, you zoom out. You can't see them.
Okay.
And how come? No, this is part of the public process. We cannot see.
No.
Right.
So speak to the item. That's the rules.
The next speaker is Terry Stevens. After Ms. Stevens is Amy Pascu. May I have messed that last name up.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Terry Stevens. I am here in support of the legislative agenda request from the Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission to protect a woman's right to reproductive health care by supporting Virginia Code 18.2-72 and 73 as written. I was an active duty military spouse for over 20 years. And now I have the honor of being a military mom. I firmly believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all Americans. In my experience, military members trust that while they are overseas defending our freedoms from threats abroad, that their elected officials at home will have their back and will actively support protecting their personal freedoms. This is not the Middle East. This is not another oppressive regime. This is the United States of America. There are some basic human rights, and one of them is the freedom to make your own decisions and have agency over your own body. So this is a simple question. Do you believe in freedom? So does the Virginia Beach City Council believe that women in our city should be afforded the same freedoms as men in our city? If you believe that all citizens deserve the freedom to make their own medical and reproductive health care decisions, which is a basic human right, then you will support your own Human Rights Commission and leave the document in the city's legislative agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Amy Pascu. I apologize if I totally butchered your last name. And then Ray Foster.
Good evening.
Hello, City Council and Mayor. Thanks for having me. My name is Amy Pasqua. I recognize some of you, Michael Berlucci from our shared work at Teens with a Purpose. Mr. Rouse, you were around and helped advocate for my peer Bellamy Gamboa when she went missing. I was born in Portsmouth Naval Hospital 42 years ago this month, 42 years. I grew up in Green Run, one of the first sustainably planned communities in Virginia Beach. And I lived in Virginia Beach almost all my life until we were recently priced out and fled to Norfolk, which I also love. I'm a daughter of a Filipino immigrant who was recruited in the Philippines by the United States Navy in his home. My dad served proudly for almost 2 decades and then served in the Military Sea Lift Command after that. I'm a mother of 2, age 16 and 6-year-old boys. I love my hometown and I wanted to do better in protecting the marginalized. I'm one of 5 founding members of Hampton Roads Reproductive Justice League. We are a 501c3 nonprofit and the 5th abortion fund in Virginia. We fund abortion for people and provide practical support for people traveling to and living in Hampton Roads. And because of my work, I know a few facts. Close to 70% of Virginians support abortion as essential health care. 1 in 4 people with a uterus will have had at least one abortion in their lifetime. 60% of those people have already given birth or are already mothers, caregivers, parents. So y'all should trust us to know how we want to manage our resources. I also know that abortion is an act of love. I know this through my own experience, having had 2 abortions, from being the result of a forced pregnancy and living the fallout from that. And from the shared experience of my global intergenerational family of people that have had abortions throughout all of human history. The rest of those were stats and statistics from Gutmatcher. But I know that abortion is normal. Virginia Beach is an essential access point to reproductive medical care for people in the South. This is because citizens of the medical establishment of Virginia have protected the freedom to dictate the course of care for themselves, and it's a part of our city's identity. What message are you sending to the more than half of Virginia Beach citizens that deserve access to abortion if the City Council removes the language, this policy that was recommended by our own Human Rights Commission, that their representatives aren't sure if the current freedom to access abortion care is worth protecting? Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
The next speaker is Ray Foster. And after Ms. Foster will be Melissa Lucasen.
Good evening.
Good evening. Some of you may recognize me. I spent years working in a law enforcement capacity as security at the other building before this one was open. When I was still a sworn member of law enforcement, I worked at the front desk for a significant amount of time. Law enforcement provided security for the building, the employees, and for you, City Council. Regardless of my personal opinions, I took your security seriously. I took it seriously because I know that you deserve to live and work without threat to your safety or bodily autonomy. I stand in front of you today to remind you that I and my fellow citizens of Virginia Beach deserve those same protections. I stand in front of you today imploring you to include the current law surrounding abortion in the legislative packet that is slated to go to the General Assembly. Abortion legalization in the 1970s meant increased high school graduation and college attendance for women and allowed for greater participation in the workforce by women generally, but Black women specifically. Abortion access is not only a human right, but invaluable health care that enables us to move the dial to further racial and social equality. I know that Virginia Beach has the capacity to be a pioneer in equality, but only if we choose to get out of our own way and make decisions that honor all of our citizens. For those of you that do not subscribe to the sanctity of human rights, I challenge you to consider the economic ramifications. Considering what the city is going through to mend our relationship with something in the water, it is readily apparent that this council values a thriving Virginia Beach economy. Women make up more than 50% of the population in Virginia Beach. With the exorbitant cost of childcare, forced pregnancies would surely push women out of the workforce. It is shocking to me that this council would consider sending the message to those 50% of their population that those contributions are dispensable. Can we truly afford more barriers to employment? I would like to remind this council of the respect and protections that they owe me and the fellow citizens of Virginia Beach. Citizens that make this community economically sound, citizens that move the dial, citizens that carry this community on their backs. I am not requesting your respect. I am reminding you that it is owed and a contingency on your position of power.
Next speaker is Melissa Lucasen. After Ms. Lucasen is Karen Causey.
Good evening.
Evening. Thank you, Councilman Rouse and Councilman Tower, for your dedication to the citizens of Virginia Beach on reproductive rights. Thank you to Councilman Wooten for pledging your support on the Human Rights Commission policy statement. On November 1st, 5 community members spoke in support of the reproductive rights policy statement submitted in the 2023 legislative agenda. No one spoke in opposition. Based on logic, one would see the ratio of support is clear. Well, you know, word travels fast in this tiny town of 450,000 people, and I heard that our mayor and our vice mayor and Councilman Berlucci still support its removal, and now Ms. Miles, as of today, even after public comments 2 weeks ago. One of the best gifts of advice my father gave me at a young age was, you should respond to a threat with equal or greater force. Since you didn't learn anything 2 weeks ago, here I have brought greater force. Brought a few neighbors and friends, Virginia Beach residents, who wanted to make sure you understood how serious we are about this. You might have the majority up there to remove it, but your vote does not represent the will of the people. If reproductive rights are only state and federal issues that are too controversial for city council to take a position on, then why did I find this quote in the Virginian pilot from January 2020? On Monday night, 7 months after the mass shooting that left 12 dead and 4 more injured, the Virginia Beach City Council voted 6-4 in favor of becoming a Second Amendment constitutional city. The council supported the symbolic message to encourage state lawmakers to not pass laws that some activists contend would infringe on the Constitution. Interesting. Also, this is the second year we have had submitted our collective opinion as a city to support a constitutional amendment for same-sex marriage, which I've publicly supported. Guns, gays, and abortions. It doesn't get more controversial than that, but Mr. Berlucci and several others of you of the same political party operate this council with the attitude of policy for me, not for thee. We are asking you for the same support you have already given to guns and gays. A rule of law overturning 49 years of precedent protecting us under the 14th Amendment was obliterated overnight this summer, and this is the time for our city to make a statement in support of our constitutional rights. Citizens don't have a lot of free time to come down here like these folks to hold you accountable to do what you were elected to do, but you know who does? Me. I have a lot of time available, don't I, Mr. Branch? My condolences on your election loss. Friends, this is what politicians have been doing to us for years. They separate their responsibilities when it is convenient for their political maneuvering. I filed to run for state delegate in 2023, but instead I think it's best to focus my energy on informing the community the need to replace our mayor, vice mayor, and Councilman Berlucci.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Karen Causey, and then Mike Hashemi. Karen Causey, Mike Hashemi. Are you Mr. Hashemi? Okay, come on. And then after Mr. Hashemi, sorry, it's Kat Porterfield.
Good evening.
Good evening, one and all. Yes.
Come on.
Sorry, fast, just in case. All right, today, of course, we are discussing the legislative agenda that we're sending out to Richmond. One action that Holcomb, if I recall, was appointed for his connections out in Richmond. So glad to get your attention, sir. Now, this body is proclaiming to not address human rights, or excuse me, reproductive rights are human rights. And this is the sake to appease a lot of conservative folks, from the Stoleys to the Youngkin administration, to Miera's AG office, to some of those in our Richmond legislature. In addition, also Mike Pence, Regent University, 700 Club. And actually, I would say even Mr. Makaka, George Allen himself was out here, thanks to Jen Kiggins recently. So a lot of people out here in political influence trying to tell us what to do on a religious basis. This debate is in religion, but we're in a secular government. So this is between a doctor, a woman, not some local political candidates in legislatures. The first clause in the Bill of Rights says, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. My father escaped from Iran decades ago, enlisted in a secular government during a religious takeover. He had to run onto a plane to escape being hung. At this moment, protesters in Iran are being executed to death for respecting women's rights, our human rights. You may say our country is much more different, but I say over the decades of conservative movements from the AIDS epidemic to QAnon and the Hobbs decision say otherwise. In fact, a few years ago, U.S. Senate wouldn't recognize the Equal Rights Amendment after we as Virginians passed it due to a technicality that Mitch McConnell wanted to appease the conservative movement. Cut from the same cloth, I would say. We're not trying to wear that hijab here either. My father did not escape Iran for me to live in a theocracy. We're going to stop it here and every first Tuesday in November.
The next speaker is Kat Porterfield, and then Conrad Schisventer.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you this evening. Just 2 weeks ago, this thing we were talking about was enough of a hot button issue, so controversial that only 2 and now 3, thank you, council people were willing to put their names to a unanimous request from our Human Rights Commission, a request simply for you as a body to support maintaining reproductive rights in the state of Virginia, just a request by those we as a city look to for guidance on human rights issues, our experts. Not a single resident came to speak against the adoption of this in your legislative agenda. Several, me too, asked for you to include it as is. But what a difference a day makes. Election day. The issue is suddenly not as controversial in Virginia as you may have thought it was 2 weeks ago. It is an issue that affected our election, and even conservative VB delegate Tim Anderson is working to separate himself from those who seek to change Virginia's laws on reproductive rights and access to abortion. He said, and I'm quoting, he's pissed at Amanda Chase proposing bans and blames her for some Republican campaign losses. So there you go. The election fixed it for you. It's not controversial anymore, and you can clearly see from the previous meeting and this one that the people of Virginia Beach want to see you affirm that you believe reproductive rights are human rights. Maybe they know that this is not a city issue, can quickly become one when it begins to impact our hospitals, human services, schools, or maybe even create a public health crisis when teens who have nowhere to turn begin to take alarming actions to end their situations. When the results of any ban become unthinkable, believe me, it will become a city issue. And right now, it's an issue the city, us, the people you see here tonight, want to see you take a position on. We deserve to know.
The next speaker is Conrad Schisventer, and then Jamal Gunn.
I definitely wanted to be here for this item as it reflects how strongly this large municipality wants support on certain issues. And I encourage the suggestion to change Virginia Beach's charter and allow special elections to replace appointments. I encourage a full-throated support of marriage matching federal law. I'm not against taxing vaping in cannabis, just don't make it higher than tobacco. Virginia Beach, you shouldn't be in the business of looking for new criminalization just for the hell of it. Municipal violations are increasingly burdensome on lower means individuals, and we need less reasons for cops to meet with citizens, not more. And we should be leery of sentences like would give the police a tool in a city like ours, which is negligent even in creating a strong CRB. I will strongly support your calling for affordable housing legislation because we're being depressed by high prices and low supply. And I'm glad the city is reminding Virginia to protect a woman's right to choose. I'm glad it came from 2 men protecting that right with their advocacy. Especially the city should be a voice on this, and I've seen you do it in a much grander fashion. When y'all thought gun control laws were coming, you genuflected to the gun lobby and said Virginia Beach is a constitutional city, as if you all forgot what your oaths were. Bring that big gun energy to reproductive rights and make a show of a woman's 4th Amendment right to privacy and her 9th Amendment right to full bodily autonomy. I want to briefly reflect on the recent UVA shooting and subtly remind the body in front of me that is requesting $2 million from another legislative body to create a memorial for our shooting tragedy. that it is powers like both of you which can legislate the means to protect society from the fact guns take lives. Remember that. Good night.
The next speaker is Jamal Gunn. After Mr. Gunn is Glenn Davis.
Hey, Jamal, how you doing?
Hi, I am that big gun energy he was just talking about, by the way. So please listen carefully. My name is Jamal Gunn, a member of the Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission. I'm here to talk about our legislative agenda request we have submitted and that was further sponsored by this council. Those items were to redefine marriage to match the current federal law and support women's rights to reproductive health care. Both of these items are in respect to a human being's rights and dignities. That means in order for us to respect a person as a human being, we must respect their ability to decide what is right and wrong for them and them alone. Being allowed to marry whomever you choose to is every bit of a human right as deciding to take on a massive responsibility of bringing life into this world, because that's exactly what this is about. This is not about having babies or what some grossly craven political leaders would mischaracterize as killing babies. This is exclusively about the right to having that decision stripped from you. This is not our decision to make. If we make this decision, then we make the decision to deny human right from women. This is precisely why you have a Human Rights Commission, to remind you what human rights are. Actually, no, to remind you what human rights you are apparently okay with denying. Now, I know that may sound discomforting, but I'm not here to coddle your feelings. You were appointed me to the Human Rights Commission. My mandate is the human rights, not your feelings.
The next speaker is Glenn Davis. And after Mr. Davis, we'll have one WebEx speaker.
Hey, Glenn, how you doing?
Doing well. I love the new digs. I haven't, first time in here, so I'm kind of jealous from before. But I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you here today. Obviously, this is a very passionate issue. You know, the first time I ran for council in 2005, and some of you all remember, you get asked a lot of questions. And I was asked once, what's my position on abortion? And my answer was pretty simple. We don't get to decide that at the city level. There's a lot of tough issues that we're all trusted to deal with, whether it's flooding, whether it's crime, whether it's education. But abortion wasn't one of them. And I was always happy to be part of a body that sometimes those politically charged issues don't come in front of us, that divide us, that don't divide the citizens. We get to deal with issues that truly make a difference in the lives of every citizen in the city of Virginia Beach, that we have the ability to affect. And unfortunately, I think at this point, that issue's kind of popped up again a little bit. Sometimes we drag you into the issues, and that's unfortunate. For example, the Second Amendment sanctuary city was mentioned, and that was one of those times. You see, there was a piece of legislation that was dropped in the General Assembly that was turning over local control of guns, firearms, whether it be transport, possession, to localities, and that brought you into it. And you had to take a position. You had to take a position of whether you were a Second Amendment constitutional city and wouldn't put restrictions, or whether, like some cities did, would put restrictions. And all localities had to get involved. This issue is a very passionate issue for everyone here, and we all know that. But it's not one that we've given local control over. It's one that will be decided at the state level. After a lot of time and energy and input from the citizens is there. But I respectfully request y'all consider having this in the legislative agenda and maybe moving it out. Because the legislative agenda was always something that was given to us, that gave us a list of the most important items for the direct success of the citizens of Virginia Beach that was needed, that y'all had control over. And this isn't one of those items. It's going to be a tough item, and while I request that y'all consider pulling it out, I do ask that everyone here, regardless of what your belief, to please reach out to all your legislators. It's a tough issue. It's not an easy issue, and we're going to need the input of everyone to do it. But I've always admired local government bodies staying away from politically charged events when they could, and I think sometimes that has contributed to the success and honestly, the effectiveness of the body. And Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
The next speaker we have is via WebEx, Mr. Robert Dean. Mr. Dean, you are unmuted and may begin.
Thank you very much. Because this agenda is available on the city's webpage, I will ask council members to simply follow my numerical comments on behalf of the Tidewater Libertarian Party, and my comments will be abbreviated to expedite the process and save everyone's time. If council would be so kind to follow my comments, and which will be abbreviated, and go to item beginning with page 6 on through to the end of the legislative agenda numbers. Redefining marriage. The TLP neither supports nor opposes this constitutional amendment. The issue of marriage should not be regulated by government. Page 7 and 8. Proposed charter amendment. Council vacancies replaced by the voters and not city council appointments. The TLP unanimously supports this initiative. Page 9. Align housing FOIA exclusion with zoning exclusions. Not enough information until the bill is put in the hopper. We cannot take a position. Page 10. Repeal of 1% local tax on groceries. The Tidewater Libertarian Party unanimously supports this initiative. Page 11, playground equipment procurement. The TLP unanimously supports with the following stipulation. It's imperative that a performance bond requirement be included in the statute. Page 12, or item 12, sales and use tax exempt for data centers. If this is part of the machinery and tool tax, it should apply to all businesses and should be eliminated, just like the BPOL tax. The Business Professional Occupations License Tax. The debt for the War of 1812 has been satisfied. The TLP supports the concept, but not without it being broadly applied to all business sectors. In free enterprise and capitalism, it's imperative that all business transactions be fair and equitable. Page 13, suspend certification requirements. Is this not in essence reducing the standards of employment? And the next cycle is in 2024. Assuming a January time frame, it is only a little more than a year away. The TLP opposes any erosion of high construction standards. Page 14, publication requirements. The TLP supports the widest dissemination of government information at the lowest possible but effective cost. Page 15, clarification of bonds. The TLP's position is that adequate bond coverage provides protection, especially on city projects where the taxpayer is removed from any liability. I can think of a housing development that flooded and we taxpayers were on the hook for a reclamation of the lack of oversight by city engineers and released the performance bonds. The TLP is concerned that this initiative is more about reducing the bond funding requirements rather than being concerned about any responsibility for the taxpayers to pay or make good on defective products or workmanship. We oppose this amendment. Page 16, obstruction of right-of-ways such as city sidewalks.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you.
Mr. Dyer, I'm speaking on behalf of the Tidewater Libertarian Party, and I believe...
No, that's only on planning items, Mr. Dean.
Oh, he gets 3 minutes. That's all the speakers, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So, Mr. Mayor, there are things that we talked about in the afternoon session that I think everyone wanted to agree on. I thought we would bundle those items and vote on those as a block, and then the other things we can talk about afterwards. And if it's okay, if I just mention them by number, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's number 1, redefining marriage. Number 3, allowing the line housing. Number 4 is the playground equipment. Number 5 is extend or make permanent sales and use tax exemption for data centers. Number 6 is suspend certification for employees. Number 7, publication requirements. Number 8, clarification of bonds required. Number 9 is obstruction of right-of-way. Number 10 is the taxation of vaping and cannabis products. Number 11 is leaving the vehicles unattended. Number 12 is resiliency issues. Number 13 is cannabis retail sales. Number 14 is affordable housing. Number 15 is short-term rentals. And number 17 is the Virginia Beach mass shooting permanent memorial. So I'd like to move approval for those items.
Second. Okay, any other discussion on it? Mr. Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, while we're doing a consent agenda for our legislative package, I want people to understand there's been, I believe, 2 or 3 items that have been pulled. Is that correct?
2 items.
two items that has been pulled short. What are those items? It was at 15 and 16, correct? Number 2 and 16.
2 and 16.
2 and 16. Again, this is, I've been here, this is something new for me, this process, because whereas we've always had a legislative agenda, to do it this way has been, it's been different and different from, because what we have here is items that we're going to discuss very shortly, but I thought there was a different way and we handled legislative agendas. And so with that, I approve of the consent agenda, and then we'll discuss the two pulled items.
Okay, any other discussion at this point? Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Alcina.
Yeah, just for clarity, we're voting on all but 2 and 16, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, because, so I'd like to support that to support all but items 2 and 16.
Okay, okay, that is what is on the table now, okay?
The vote is,
Just for a second.
I'm sorry.
City Attorney Stiles, we will be having a separate vote on the pulled items, correct?
That's my understanding, yes. That is correct.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
So the vote is on the bundle.
Yes, and the vote is open. Mr. Holt, thank you. By a vote of 11-0, you've approved the legislative agenda as the package, removing number 2 and 16 to take on a separate vote. Just want to make sure we're clear.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay, I guess we're going to be talking about item number 2 first.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you can, Madam Vice Mayor, if you can read, what it's item 2.
Number 2 is the repeal of the 1% local tax on groceries, and this is, my understanding is for this to be a local option.
Correct.
Yes, please, John.
We cannot, under the current state statute, because this would be not just for Virginia Beach, this would be a local option for all localities, because currently under state law and a building rule state, no locality has the option or the ability to remove the 1.5 cent local tax on food. Now, the state is eliminating the state sales tax effective January 1st, the 1% sales tax on food. But we don't have the authority to differentiate between the uniformed tax that's now in place without specific authority from the General Assembly and enacted by the governor. So this would, because obviously the state removed that tax because they were having overperforming revenues, a budget surplus, and the tax on food is a tax on, talk about the underprivileged, underserved, it's a regressive tax that impacts those the most. And we have been experiencing, as you all know, a significant budget surplus, over $100 million, and overperforming revenues. So it only seems to make sense that we would want to follow the state's lead and repeal the local tax on food. Fortunately, Senator Bill DeStef has agreed to sponsor this, independent of how this body acts, because I think he understands the recognition of what the citizens are telling us about the economic impact of even a 1% reduction in tax on food makes a big difference when you're looking at food prices today. But that's what this would do. Is there a revenue consequence? If we don't spend all the excess surplus revenues that we have, yes, that would be a revenue consequence. But if we instead divert overperforming revenues and budget surpluses like the state did, then we can offset. And there isn't any reduction in service. There's just not a bigger increase in spending. So this is something that I've offered that would have to go to the General Assembly, and it would apply to all cities, towns, and counties, and they would have the option then to repeal that tax.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, I just assume that Mr. Moss has put that in a form of a motion for adoption.
Yes.
I'd second it.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Okay, the vote is open.
By a vote of 9-2, this has been included in the legislative package.
Okay, that motion passes. All right, and next would be number 16.
I make a motion for approval.
No, okay, motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, can we have the Vice Mayor read it in the record first? Thank you.
Number 16 is the women's right to reproductive health care.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion to pass by number 16 indefinitely. Appreciate all the speakers, certainly, and their position on this important issue. The General Assembly members have already taken this issue, this matter under consideration. The Supreme Court did rule to have states decide on any abortion laws. So I'd offer that substitute motion.
Okay.
Mr.
Do we
Mayor.
have a second on that?
I'll second it for the purposes of discussion only, not indicating how I would vote, but I believe every motion deserves to be discussed.
Okay, at this point, any other discussion? Mr. Rouse?
Mr. Mayor, for the record, I don't believe the policy statement was read into the record fully. Could we have that policy statement read by the Vice Mayor into the record fully? Thank you.
Find it.
We can just hang on there a second.
Why don't you go ahead and read it, Mr. Rouse, since you would like to have it read?
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Policy statement, women's right to reproductive health care. Mr. Mayor, after can I read this, can I go into my remarks as well? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a policy statement sponsored by Councilman Aaron Rouse, Guy Tower, and Sabrina Wooten. Virginia law provides that an abortion can be performed during the first 2 trimesters of a woman's pregnancy. After that, it can only be performed if the patient's life is at risk or if 3 physicians certify that the continuation of the pregnancy is likely to substantially and irremediably, I can't say that word, impair the patient's mental or physical health. Virginia Code 18.2-72 and 7.3. Bills are expected to be introduced in the 2023 session to restrict a woman's right to reproductive health care. The Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission has requested support of the current law and objection to any changes that would take away these rights. The City Council supports the Virginia Human Rights Commission request to keep intact the present law in Virginia regarding women's rights to reproductive health care, specifically the provisions of Virginia Code 18.2-72 and 7.3.
Any other discussion? Okay, John?
If I could, like I said, my second didn't have anything to do with how I'm voting, but I thought discussions are always constructive. Because I would like to, there's a big difference in America under our constitutional structure. Just something that's claimed as a human right doesn't mean it's a legal and constitutional right under our framework. Each of us, like the gentleman in the military or the lady was, all take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. We all do. Whether we like the decisions the Supreme Court makes or not, they are the supreme law of the land, and that becomes the oath we have to follow. That explains my votes on the Second Amendment. We may disagree on how the Supreme Court on a personal view rules, but once they do rule, that is the law of the land for everyone. Same thing holds true about what constitutes a marriage. The Supreme Court ruled and made a ruling on that. I'm obligated to follow the Constitution of the United States, whether I agree with it or not on a personal basis, because that's the oath I take. Mr. Delegate Davis was correct that the Supreme Court just said it's not a federal constitutional right. They said it's something that the states can establish or not. So it's in the purview of the state. I do agree, though, that we're not prohibited from expressing what we think that interpretation should be, but we should not believe that they're going to listen much to this, what this body says, because they haven't often on other issues. But I think it's important to make a distinction between what we claim to be a human right. I hear about the human right to housing, the human right to health care, but these are not legal rights under the Constitution of the United States. So that doesn't mean I can't express what I think how it should be changed differently. That's what you're asking. But I'm just telling you that when we take an oath, our oath is to uphold decisions that other people make for us that we're obligated to obey. That's all I'm trying to make clear. And thank you for the opportunity to make a distinction between what people assert as being rights, and maybe they should be, and what the Constitution recognizes as being legal rights that you can pursue in court and achieve.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Rouse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is supposed to be a nonpartisan item, supposed to be a nonpartisan body here at the local level. Women are human beings. I'm very proud to support women's right to reproductive health. I'm proud to support our Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission. I think it's very hypocritical for Republican members of City Council not to support the Human Rights Commission request to keep intact the present law in Virginia regarding women's rights to reproductive health care. This is the same Human Rights Commission that the city gave the authority to advocate for the citizens of Virginia Beach. A commission that was charged with the following duties and powers and functions. Number one, to institute, conduct, and engage in educational and informational programs for the promotion of mutual understanding and respect among citizens and the fulfillment of human rights. Number two, to serve as a forum for the discussion of human rights issues and to conduct studies and propose solutions for the improvement of human relations in the city. And perhaps number three, more important, to provide assistance to persons who believes their rights have been violated by identifying the appropriate federal, state, and local agency to address, keyword, to address the complaint and referring such persons to that agency. They were created to point out areas of injustice, and they are advising us of a possible injustice, and this council seeks to turn a blind eye. You see, members of the public, this city council just last year supported an amendment to our state constitution that will allow same-sex marriage, something I fully support. This policy was introduced twice to city council by my Republican colleague, Councilman Berlucci, who is also liaison to the Human Rights Commission. It was also supported unanimously by the Human Rights Commission. In fact, they were introduced at the same time as the women's right to reproductive health care, but only one was supported by the liaison. Same-sex marriage was approved by the city council, and yet it was rejected by the House majority of Republicans at the state level, in which Mr. Glenn Davis, who's left the building, was a part of. Introduced, and is introduced again this year with clever wording. If you look at, I'm talking about same-sex marriage here. It is introduced again. Number one, redefining marriage to match current federal law. You turn to page 7. That is introduced by Councilman Berlucci. That states the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, proclaims that the right to marry is an inalienable right. The U.S. Supreme Court has stated that the right to marry is one of the basic civil rights of man that cannot be infringed upon based on sexual orientation. The right to marry for same-sex couples has been protected in Virginia since 2015, thanks to Democrats. In Oberfeld versus Hodges 2015, the court held that the government may not infringe on a person's fundamental right to marry on the basis of their sexual orientation. Currently, this right to marry would not be protected in Virginia if the U.S. Supreme Court were to overturn the Obergefell case because of Article 1, Section 15A of the Virginia Constitution. Now, this is the same council that wants to deny women their right to reproductive health care. And I ask why? Why? The people ask why. Are LGBTQIA plus rights more important than a woman's right to reproductive health care? No. No, this is the United States. But this is a clear distinction that this council would send a very clear message that this council picks and chooses whose rights are more important. They're doing that through clear partisanship. It's clear. The rights of human beings on this planet, and certainly within these here United States, should be equal, hence the U.S. Constitution. You see, the pursuit of happiness is inalienable. There are atheists in many religions in the world and in this country, but here in the United States, we have the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that says everyone in the United States has the right to practice his or her own religion or no religion at all. So I ask, so should we force women to wear a hijab like they do in Iran? Or maybe force circumcision like they do in Liberia? No, because in this country, you have the fundamental right to believe in whatever deity you desire without forcing someone else to believe in it. I believe in Jesus Christ, and my God has never forced anyone to believe in him. And good people, Virginia, I asked you, who can stand before God and answer for someone else's choices and decisions they made in their life? Therefore, I say to this city's council, to deny support for women's right to reproductive health care, then maybe we aren't so open and inclusive as we like the public to believe. Thank you.
Okay, John.
The audience can remain seated. Well, I don't proclaim to have the only interpretation of what the Constitution means because I'm not vested to decide that. Only the Supreme Court has decided to do that. And when we had the vote on, and I think some points you made were on target, I'm going to talk to those, is that we talked about the marriage change, that I spoke up loudly about that for those of you who remembered, and I talked about how the fact that the Supreme Court had said, and therefore that's now a constitutional federal standard, applies to all 50 states, applies to all 330 million Americans, because it was a constitutional ruling with broad scope. I may not agree with the decision that they recently made that reversed Roe versus Wade and said it was not something that was guaranteed on a federal basis, but was in fact a power to be decided by the individual states. Many people disagree with that, very controversial. It doesn't change the power and the legal effect of the Supreme Court's ruling, because in our system of government, we don't all get to decide what the Constitution means. And no one who takes the oath of office, whether you're in military, an elected office, gets to decide what that is. I think we're back to now is, what is the right that we want to have in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and what is the right that we want the General Assembly in the Commonwealth of Virginia to do within the legal framework that the Supreme Court has said is permissible. That really is the issue. I don't think it's Republican, I don't think it's Democrat, but that is the issue. Do we get to decide that here? No. Can we express to people what we think that should be and reflect what our people think? I think we can. I don't think that's partisan. But people can have different views on that issue, and doesn't mean that they're anti-women. I came in here thinking I wasn't certain what I was going to do, I'll be honest with you. And but I want people to understand from a point of view is the issue, the term human rights has no legal standing in our legal framework.
Folks, please.
Please. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just know when you go into court, you got to cite legal judicial precedent. You got to do all these things, and just claiming something that United Nations preamble isn't what the Supreme Court made their decision on. They made a decision. I'm just trying to make sure that people watching here, and you shouldn't take offense of how I'm going to vote because of what I'm sharing, but I think it's people need to be educated as to the distinction between what you legally can do in our framework and to elect people that have a different framework. It's the framework we work with, and that's why you're here, because you don't want the General Assembly to change something that they now have the power to change.
Folks, please.
Well, it is very difficult to have a dialogue if people can't be receptive to think you're hearing something without knowing what the conclusion is, but being educated. And that's all I'm trying to accomplish, is to make sure that people know what really is the issue before us, is what's the message we want to send to the General Assembly when they go there, relative to what the people here and other people elsewhere have communicated to us that they want us to express a sentiment. A sentiment is what we're expressing, knowing that they're going to do what they want to do anyway, because that's what they always do. But there is a legal framework that we work in, and I'm just trying to share that. If I've offended anyone, it isn't on purpose. I just like to be as precise as I can. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, again, and I must say this because I think Mr. Moss has served our city quite some time admirably, and I thank you for your service, sir. We don't always agree. You can tell we don't see eye to eye, but one thing I respect about John Moss, perhaps, and I'm even going to miss, I'm saying that publicly, is that I always know where you are, and you always speak your truth, and that is you're a very principled person. That's admirable, and that's respectable, and I commend you, sir. On this issue here, you know, Mr. Moss brought up the standard. And I think the question that we're asking now is, what is the Virginia Beach standard? What question and what message are we sending to our community that we advocate for same-sex marriage, but yet we won't advocate for a woman's right to reproductive health? And I think that is what we're discussing. Obviously, we know that the state will make those decisions, but for those people who call Virginia Beach home and live here, if they want to know that a city is going to protect their rights and advocate for them. And that is what we're doing. We're not deciding that here. What we're doing is saying we support you women in our community. We support the LGBTQIA community. We support African Americans. We support white Americans. We support Filipinos. We support the diversity that this great city has to offer. And so when the Human Rights Commission, a commission that we appointed, unanimously brings us an issue that they support, and we don't stand behind that, what does that say? What is that message? That looks bad, a reflection upon us.
Okay, please, folks.
So, again, Mr. Mayor, if we have our Human Rights Commission, we have an issue, we have members that live in this city are here asking us to support, what are we going to do? The public awaits your answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, at this point, we have a substitute motion for denial. Was it substitute?
No.
Said the quiet part out loud. It's denial.
It says, what was the substitute motion, Ms. Miles?
Pass by.
Right.
Pass by indefinitely, so we need to vote.
To pass by indefinitely.
If the substitute becomes the primary.
Yeah, no, we're going to vote, this would become the primary, motion to make this the original motion. Okay? Clarification, Mark?
I think the motion to pass by indefinitely is a motion that's applicable at the state level. I think the intent here is a motion to postpone indefinitely, which under Robert's rules is slightly different in that if that motion is passed, that's the end of the consideration of the item. It doesn't become a main motion, it's just done.
Okay. So the idea is to postpone, the motion is to postpone indefinitely.
I would ask the maker of the motion to clarify, but that's what I understood.
Okay.
Yes.
Kelsena?
To postpone indefinitely, item 16.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and the vote is open. Okay, the motion,
Sorry, give me just a second.
so now we vote on, this is the primary, that's it?
So
Okay.
motion carried 7-4 to defer indefinitely.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you.
That's the final
Okay, moving on, and next is the resolution to request the General Assembly to amend the city charter, rate process.
Wasn't that a substitute motion?
No. It was, Mark said it was primary.
Can you turn your microphone, Mr. Stiles, can you turn your microphone on,
Can we have order
please?
out in the gallery? Thank you.
I understood the motion was not to defer indefinitely, but was to postpone indefinitely, which is a specific rule under Robert's rules. And if that motion passes, there is not a second vote. If it's a substitute motion to defer indefinitely, then that becomes the main motion, and there is a second vote. That's why I asked for clarification.
Is there no requirement to remove the former motion from the table?
No, sir, not on the motion to postpone indefinitely.
So the motion was to postpone indefinitely.
Okay, motion was, and that's what carried. Okay, next on is the resolution to request the General Assembly to amend the city charter rate process for filling vacancies in the office of the member of City Council and Mayor, requested by Councilmember Morse. Any speakers?
We have two speakers. The first speaker is Barbara Messner. And then we have one speaker via WebEx.
There is no due process. This is ridiculous. Okay, it's impossible to keep track of all this. And I wasn't the first speaker. I mean, this whole thing. Okay, so which item?
Number 3.
Amanda?
This is number 3.
3?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, request the General Assembly to amend the city charter, filling vacancies. This should have been done in 2018. And, you know, we shouldn't, according to our charter, which we should have stuck to, we should be having our elections in May. So all this money, you know, all this Republican, Democrat stuff doesn't come into play. So requested by Councilmember Moss. This is a little late. You know, there should have been lawsuits against what was done. A lot of people started them, but they didn't finish them. Yeah, everybody's just grandstanding, using this for your platforms, and then you duck the vote. You know, like I said, the whole due process, and you zoom in on certain speakers, and then, you know, all of a sudden that thing doesn't work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Shouldn't have moved into the new building if everything doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, filling vacancies. Why don't people, when you take your oath and you're elected, why don't you stay in office the full term? Glenn Davis shows up, he jumps ship. You know, Will Sessoms gets elected, he finds out that he has a conflict because he asked for a legal ruling from Stolley, and then he leaves. I mean, like I said, you know, I disagree with with bringing this up, because y'all do what the hell you please anyway.
The next speaker is via WebEx. Robert Dean. Mr. Dean, you are unmuted and may begin.
Mrs. Amanda, I'm somewhat confused because I had began my comments on the legislative agenda, but I was cut off, and I'm confused now of which items I will be able to address, and how much time do I have? Is this? Could you please explain what I can do now, what I can say, and how much time I have to say it?
3 minutes. This is a non-planning item, so you only have 3 minutes, and this is for ordinance number 3.
Number 3. That is, let me pull it up. Could you please give me the ordinance? What is it?
Charter change.
I'm saying, say that again, please.
Charter change for process for filing vacancies in the office of the members of the City Council.
Yes. The Tidewater Libertarian Party unanimously supports this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the speakers, sir.
Oh, that was under 3 minutes.
That's what's under 3 minutes.
All right, John.
If I could, as most of the public knows, when we have a congressional seat that gets vacated for whatever reason, a special election is held in 60 days, or less than 60 days, I should say. And when we have a vacancy is created in either our House of Delegates or in the state Senate, we have an election in 60 days, and we're going to have one here fairly shortly because State Senator Higgins has been elected, Congresswoman, elect, and so we'll have a special election in December. Now, it is true that elections cost money. Of all the things we spend money on, spending money on letting people pick who they want to represent them is probably one of the best investments in our constitutional republic that we can make. And we're not setting a precedent. In fact, we are following what is the precedent. And the only reason why we don't have special elections for state senators, because very few people probably remember that at one time, senators were appointed by the legislature of their states. They were not popularly elected. And when a vacancy occurred, the governor would appoint that senator to take their place. Well, when we went, I think it was the 17th Amendment, but I might be wrong on the number. So they were popularly elected. There was no provision that changed the practice of when a vacancy occurs in the US Senate, that it is filled by an appointment by the governor, and there's not a special election. That's just a little history. I think that should apply. Now, you could have made a case, and we did make the case, I guess you could say, that when everyone was elected at large, then all of us were accountable to everyone, and you could make an extension of rationalization. Therefore, this body could appoint someone to represent either at large or a geographical area because we all were elected by everyone. Well, we've moved past that. So why would we want to have district council members picking the person when there's a district vacancy to represent them, the people in that district, when the people making the appointments aren't accountable to the folks making that decision? So this charter amendment, which Senator Bill DeStef has agreed to carry and introduce and put into the hopper, would do and establish the same precedent that we have for all our offices, elected offices, except for the US Senate, to have special elections within 60 days when a vacancy occurs on this body. And of course, district elections will be much cheaper to do than citywide, but cost should not be a barrier to empowering people to actively give their consent to who's representing them here and casting a vote. And that is in the form of a motion that with this particular charter amendment be included in our legislative package.
Do we have a second? Second. Okay, any other discussion? If I could just, offer up, once again, I have tremendous, respect for Mr. Moss, and he is indeed a passionate person. But, I guess my concerns about this are in the areas of practicality. Unfortunately, if we have a member that passes away or leaves to run for another office or something of that nature, we appoint a placeholder. And we are so blessed to have Delcino with us. Michael, I believe, was a placeholder along the day. Guy was a placeholder along the way. And I believe Mr. Holcomb, was a placeholder. And I think in terms of practicality, sometimes the time is different. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if it's longer than a year or so, something like this may be in order. But when we talk about a couple months, how do we get people, qualified people, to step up and say, okay, now we have to hire, campaign manager, run a campaign, and, do a, run an election, which very possibly could be a low turnout situation. So once again, I just think in terms of practicality, I think if we're going to be doing that, if it was, a lengthy span of time that would make it worth, where quality people would come forward and would be willing to run. But, when in the instance of, just a couple months, we have to, ensure that we bring forward quality people to do that. Yeah, John.
Well, with all due respect, that could be true, but I don't think any of us are going to say that no one knew for certain who was going to win. We don't even know who the other opponent might be in the primary coming from the Democratic Party. They're going to certainly come together and elect someone who's previously never served, possibly, who has on short order had to put together a campaign, and this happens in Congress all the time. And I'm certain that you're not impugning that we're not getting quality people to go to the General Assembly who will vote on stuff we're asking for, or people that go to Congress and will be voting on things that we're going to be asking for because they had little time to prepare. This has been a process been in our country since its founding. This is not a new concept. In fact, the appointment is probably more the exception than the rule. And I think what I heard from people, and we may all listen to different folks, we all have different opinion, is that people are not happy with the process that's less than transparent, though it looks mechanically very clear, but in the end produces results that people don't have confidence in. So I think it is a value judgment. I'll accept, I'm glad that independent of the judgment of this body, this is going to be introduced into the General Assembly. I think it has big traction. I think if you went out and put that on an advisory referendum, I have no doubt it would pass. And our job here is to enable the people to pick us. But I respect the differences of view, and I respect there is some risk, but I think our constitutional republic is a risk in itself, and I think that we embrace risk.
Okay, thank you. Aaron?
Mr. Moss, you're not alone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In supporting this, I think the people should have an opportunity to elect someone in a special election to represent their district instead of city council appointing someone. What this does is strengthens, I believe, in my opinion, it strengthens the faith in government as well, and it gets rid of a conflict of potential interest when the public have an opportunity to weigh in who will represent them. And so I think this is a good thing, and I'm proud to support it. Thank you, Councilman Moss.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, votes open.
By a vote of 6-5. Is that right?
Okay.
Yep, the motion carried.
Okay, thank you. In spirited discussion, Mr. Moss, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, at this point, let's move forward with the ordinance to authorize acquisition of temporary and permanent easements, either by agreement or condemnation. Ray Winston-Salem Avenue Corridor Improvements Project CIP 100-489, formerly CIP 9006.
The first speaker, sorry, is Barbara Messner. One, Fran Johnson.
Okay, welcome.
Okay. Number 4, correct? Authorize acquisition of temporary and permanent easements by agreement or condemnation. I oppose, all these easements, CIP, capital improvement projects. The bond referendum. We have a debt. You're still building projects, removing trees, causing more flooding. The flood is mitigation. And, all this trashy stuff you're doing on the beach in the off-season, desperate to help Coastal Edge and all these other people who fund your campaigns. We can't afford all these CIP projects. I'm in opposition, and I think it's ridiculous that, you took away the clock, you zoom in on some people, and you can't have due process for who's speaking in what order. And I don't think anybody who's running for office and leaving, should be using this platform, for their benefit.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, the next speaker is Fran Johnson.
Okay, welcome.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Fran Johnson, and I've lived on Winston-Salem Avenue for 40 years. I'm a member of the Shadowlawn Civic League. I've served on the board, including as president and chair of our beautification committee. After years of delays, I'm asking tonight your immediate attention to the Winston-Salem Avenue Improvements Project. The distance we're talking about in this project is 0.3 of a mile from the bottom of the Rudy Inlet Bridge at Pacific South Condos on the east, ending at Rockefeller's Restaurant on the west. 0.3 of a mile. Within that boundary, there are 3 marinas full of charter boats and hosting fishing tournaments. We have 3 restaurants and an event space, a variety of water sports businesses, 3 condominiums, and some single-family homes. Within this 0.3 of a mile, there's a very high volume of traffic. Cars, delivery trucks, trolleys, buses, golf carts, bicycles, skateboards, strollers, and pedestrians. We have cars parked on both sides of the street that require just single flow traffic between Baltic and Mediterranean. There's a real concern for emergency vehicles getting into this area. Very active and very dense, and there can't be room for error. Rudy Inlet, Winston-Salem Avenue, because of the proximity to the beach, is a tourist destination. We have a lot of people coming there to park, using the beach for the day, going to concerts, going to restaurants. As a resident, I believe I've been a good steward to the city. I'm really friendly to people when they park on my street. I give directions, I give recommendations for restaurants, I explain parking signs to help people avoid getting ticketed or towed. And the city owes us, the residents and the businesses. We have long awaited these improvements because of the repeated canceled projects as dictated in the 2016 CIP. We want curbs and gutters. We need sidewalk improvements, parking management, and improvements to the stormwater and public utilities. We have patiently watched
Thank
other
you very much,
shadow
ma'am.
lawn streets.
Thank you.
I have some documents to provide to council.
If you can give it to the city clerk.
The
Thank you.
Shadow Lawn Civic League passed a motion in support of council approving the project.
So, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor, this is in my district, and everything that Ms. Johnson, go ahead and give that to the clerk, Ms. Johnson. Everything that Ms. Johnson said is true. I'm very, very familiar, and this has been in our CIP for quite a while, and it's been delayed for one reason or another, but we've really got to get moving on it. These people have been waiting for years, and I know when John Earn went off the council, one of the things he said to me is, please make sure this project gets done. So it's been it's just been way, way, way too long. So I urge everyone to vote for this tonight, but I also urge Mr. Duhaney to do whatever we can to get this moving along so we can get this. It's going to be messy, like all construction projects for a while, but just like when you have your kitchen redone, it's a little inconvenient, but the end results will be great. And it's going to tie the walkway all underneath the bridge to the boardwalk. It'll be a wonderful walking experience for people as well. So anyway, I move for approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Votes open.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you've approved the ordinance.
Okay, and the final item for tonight is ordinance to authorize temporary encroachments into a portion of city-owned property known as Bass Inlet, AKA Mill Pond, an existing 5-foot drainage and utilities easement located at the rear of 2961 Sandbend Road. Ray construction and maintain an open-sided boat lift with a roof, marginal wharf, and a dock to maintain portions of an existing bulkhead, which related bulkheads returns District 2, formerly District 7.
The first speaker is Barbara Messner. After Ms. Messner is Christine Eberhardt.
You know, it's nice that you want to fix up things. So, okay, so another temporary encroachment, city-owned property. The bottom line is Mr. Tower and Ms. Wilson, Mr. Dyer, Mr. Moss, you've all been my rep since 2014. You pick and choose who gets help for projects. When it affects the tourism industry, it gets help. You know, we have reckless driving. We have problems with the gutters, with everything. But certain areas you don't take care of. You pick and choose. You can't subsidize the ocean front. And you know, what is it called? The water table, whatever it is at Rudy Inlet. That's where you have your fundraisers, and you can practically walk, Miss Wilson. So there's nothing wrong with fixing things, but when you fix them just for tourism and you don't take care of the rest of the neighborhoods equally, that's wrong.
The next speaker is Christine Eberhardt. After Ms. Eberhardt is Joseph Kinley.
Okay, good evening.
Hi. It's a long one. Not me, the meeting. Hello, council members.
Raise your microphone up just a bit. Thank you.
Sorry. Hello, council members. My name is Christine Eberhardt. I'm here to represent my family. We live at 2965 Sandbend Road, which is right next door to the applicant. We are here to oppose this encroachment as it is presented. I have given the city clerk a small packet of information if you want to follow along as I'm talking. We are opposed to this encroachment because of the boat lift that's located on the corner of the property for two reasons. First is the roof on the boat lift. We live in a cove off of Back Bay known as Mill Pond. Many property owners on Mill Pond have boat lifts, but none of them have a roof. Mrs. Hensley was down herself to the site on Saturday, and she saw that for herself. We are asking that the roof be taken off the boat lift so that it conforms to all the other lifts on Mill Pond. And we are not alone in this request. I have here letters from 14 other property owners who live on Mill Pond that have signed statements opposing the covered boat lift, and I would like these to be made part of the record. Some of these owners have also emailed you over the last couple of days to voice their opposition, and you also received an email from the Back Bay Restoration Foundation, who's also opposing this agenda item. You also have in your packet, you have two photos, before and after photos. If you look right here, the red X on this aerial photo shows how large the structure would be with a roof on it and how far it protrudes into the water in front of the neighbors, us being one of them, and how its location right on the edge of the property boxes us in here in this corner in front of our bulkhead. I am also enclosed a vital piece of information that was missing from the applicant's submission, and that is this cross-section diagram that shows the height of the roof. There is also a second before and after shot that was taken from our dock that shows the impact of the roof on the boat lift. So to put it all together, with the roof on this lift, we now have a permanent structure in the water that sticks out over 20 feet from the bulkhead, is 24 feet long and 15.5 feet tall. Keep in mind, the actual boat lift underneath this roof is only 12 feet wide and would stick out and would be as wide and as long and as tall as whatever boat that's on it. So we are asking for the roof to be removed. Our second request is that the boat lift be moved over to allow for at least 10 feet of clearance off the rear property line. You saw from the aerial photos how they have us boxed in, and there's no way we can maneuver any boats into that corner between our dock and the side property line. We ask for a minimum of 10 feet of clearance because we think that will give us enough room to get a boat into that corner, and because 10 feet is the minimum setback allowed by city zoning for a house off the side property line and is where their house sits now. To recap, we're asking for the roof on the boat to be removed so it conforms to all the boat lifts in Mill Pond, and we are not adversely selected against. And we are asking that the boat lift be moved over so we can continue to use the bulkhead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Joseph Kinley. And after Mr. Kinley is Harold Jones.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Great. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. I've come before you before during COVID in agreement with an encroachment where one was needed. That was where the water was not deep. It was very shallow, and the person that needed the encroachment needed to be able to get to his boat. This is completely different. Mill Pond is deep. There's no need for a 20-foot long pier. It would be the only one out there. It terrifies me. Imagine each and every one of you living in your home for 11 years and all of a sudden seeing a boathouse popping up right beside your property. I don't think you would like it. I don't think you'd be happy about it. I don't want to see it happen where I live. I live on the water in Sandbridge, and I would certainly appreciate you voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Harold Jones.
Struggle getting up here. My right foot just went to sleep. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Vice Mayor and members of council. My name is Harold Jones. I'm with Sigma Environmental, and I represent the applicant, Mr. and Mrs. Witt, on this project. They are proposing a multifaceted project that includes a marginal wharf, a covered boat lift, and a pier. It also includes the removal of an existing pier that encroaches out on city property right now that does not have an encroachment easement. This property was recently bought by the applicant from a long-standing owner in Sandbridge that had placed that pier out there 20-some years ago, I guess. So anyways, that will be removed. One of the items that was brought up was the height of the roof of this covered boat lift. It is currently designed, she represented that the drawings that you have the drawings. If you look at that, the cross-sectional area, it shows that the maximum height of the roof will be 15.5 feet. Mr. and Mrs. Witt have constructed a cabana shed adjacent to their pool, which is right up to the property line setback of 5 feet off the neighbor's property. The roof on that is 18 feet. So if you're sitting on the deck of the adjacent property owner looking out over towards the northwest where the boat lift will be, the highest roof right now is going to be 2.5 feet taller than the roof on the boathouse. So I don't see where there's any really visual impacts going to occur as a result of this installation of the boat or the roof on the boathouse. I would also note that the encroachment request is for 1.5 feet channelward of the applicant's line. So it only comes over 1.5 feet onto city property at an angle that runs 12 feet. It only provides for 18 square feet of encroachment request. And it's just the encroachment request that is before council this evening. It still requires a permit from the Wetlands Board. In terms of the navigational issues, those are decided rightly so by the Army Corps of Engineers and to some extent VMRC and the local Wetlands Board. So as I mentioned, the only issue before this body is the encroachment itself of 18 square feet.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones,
Yes, ma'am.
you talked about.
Can you please turn your microphone on?
You talked about the structure that was built a couple of feet from the property line. Actually, the setback in that area for the house was 10 feet, but this structure, I think that you're referring to, was built closer than that. There's not much setback. I think it just barely got out of the
It's the 5 foot
utility easement.
Yes.
But that blocks the visibility from the adjoining property owner. And of course, because that structure is there, which is just a shed, it wasn't the house, and I guess it didn't, because it's a shed, it didn't have to have a variance, but it's much closer than the setback. But that has blocked the visibility. And so now when you put this covered boat house out there, you're going to have no visibility.
No, because
I'm sorry, but I was standing there and in trying to see anything coming from the other direction, if there were a boat coming or anything coming from that direction, and the people here at the neighbor wanted to get out of theirs, there would be there's no visibility because the visibility is blocked with the shed that was put there and now with this proposed boat lift with a covered roof. And there's no visibility. I see it as a major safety hazard because actually, I mean, when I look at this drawing, I don't know why this has to come all the way within a foot of the property line. I mean, you've got plenty of room there to move this over, but by putting it that close to the property line, you have caused the adjoining property owner to have no maneuverability to get to their boat dock and bulkhead. Plus, like I say, with that shed and with this roof-covered boat lift, they have no visibility. to come out safely. And I don't think this is something, I mean, I know that VMRC will not consider this until the city council gives an encroachment. And so I think it's VMRC that is going to be deciding this. But Mr. Kinley referred to his coming to the council to support an encroachment, and he did. And I've got the transcript of that. It was April 20th, 2021. And in that discussion, the city council talked extensively, this city council talked extensively about these encroachments into these waterways, these canals and so forth, and how they are becoming much more intense than they were intended to be. And we talked about the impact of these covered facilities in restricting the SAV growth that we're trying to get in, and with hampering our flood control that we're certainly working on with our sea level rise. I just do not, and we clearly said our policy was going to be that we were not going to approve these greatly increased encroachments and boating that actually is not intended to be nearly as extensive as this one would be. I don't think there's another covered one on that Mill Pond area. It should be just like the neighbors. And so I think your neighbor is asking a very reasonable thing in that boat lift not be covered, because that's and I think your diagram here says that the boat cover is a 16 by 24 foot roof, which that's going to shed the waterway to impede any SAV growth if we were going to get any, but it's also going to make it a much more intense use than anybody else in that Mill Pond area has. Just take that cover off and just have the 12 by 12 foot boat lift and move it away from the property line 10 feet, which is what the setback is of the house. And if you just move this over 10 feet, then the adjoining property owner will have visibility and will have maneuverability. And I would make a motion to approve that, but I will not make a motion to approve this application we've got before us.
Okay. Well, again, the encroachment is only for the roof itself. It's not for the structure. There are no structures that are be placed on city property as a result of the construction of the project as it's currently designed. It's only the overhang of the roof that encroaches a total of 18 square feet over city property.
Well, I would like to discuss this with you. I wish your applicant had called me as the neighbor had, because as I look at this, we're looking at a 12 by 12 foot open-sided boat lift with a 16 by 24 foot roof, a 3 by 30 marginal roof, and a 16 by 10 foot dock is what we are being requested to allow. And I think this goes much beyond what we had indicated at our discussion in April of 2021 that we were going to be willing to look at for encroachments, because these areas are very sensitive, and that area simply does not have an encroachment of this nature in that area. And I don't think I certainly would not want this to set a precedent, because I think we have to look for any of these and say, okay, if every property owner, waterfront property owner in Sandbridge did this, what would we have? It wouldn't be what we have now.
Okay, but to put it in a little bit different perspective, if there's a 3 foot marginal wharf that runs parallel with the existing bulkhead right now, that marginal wharf is for safety, for people to get on and get off a boat. If I eliminated that marginal wharf for safety reasons for the applicant, and brought the boat lift in 3 feet, it will not require an
You would
encroachment.
not require an encroachment, right? And so I think that's what you need to look to do. But, I mean, we're not here for us to talk about this now. This would need to be, if we're going to reconsider this, and if you're willing to look at making this change, I'll be glad to defer it. But if you're not willing to make a change, and if this is the only thing your applicant will accept, then I would have to make the motion to deny.
Mayor, I'm sorry. So the applicant has given me a note that he would like to speak. He did not sign up prior to the start of the meeting, but I know you started discussion, so it's your decision.
I'm sorry, he had an ample time to call me and discuss this.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think, there's an option on the table that will give him adequate opportunity to.
I then will move that we defer this to December 13th.
Second.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Please.
I missed the motion.
I move that we defer this to December 13th, and I'll be glad to look at an adjusted application from what you have tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second
And
for
this is
deferral.
to defer till December 13th. Thank you. No, to defer to December 13th, correct. Mr. Tower, may I have your vote? Thank you. By a vote of 11-0, this application has been deferred till December 13th.
Okay, no appointments tonight. Any old business, Mr. Bellucci?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I know we've had a long meeting, but I do want to take a moment to recognize and congratulate one of our colleagues, Councilmember Delcino Miles, who this weekend was recently presented a Lifetime Achievement Award in business by Black Brand. And I had a privilege to go, as I know you did, Mr. Mayor, and Councilmember Miles was celebrated for her many contributions in entrepreneurship, mentorship, and business in Virginia Beach, and it was a point of pride for her, certainly, and her family, but also for our city of Virginia Beach to celebrate her achievements in business with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I only have one problem with that, which is I think she's too young to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. But besides that, it was a really special moment, and I want to take this chance to share that with our community, that she received that distinguished recognition. Thank you.
Just think about how much lifetime she has left to do even more. There we go. Yes,
Thank
John.
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to remind the viewing public that tomorrow afternoon from 3:30 to 5, and then again 6 to 8:30, 6:30 to 8, excuse me, at Princess Anne High School Auditorium will be, Mr. Tower and I will be having 2 workshops to take public comments on the revised draft noise ordinance. That's Princess Anne High School tomorrow night afternoon from 3:30 to 5, and an evening from 6:30 to 8. And we'll be there to take your feedback so we can bring that back to our colleagues. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no new business. We are adjourned. Thank you.